Today, I'm going to show you our agent operating system, what I've built into it lately, and exactly how powerful this is, just to inspire you and to show you what's possible when you actually really build a great system around Hermes Agent. Now, Hermes Agent is probably, the most powerful AI agent in the world, but only if you use it properly. So, for example, if we take a look at the Hermes Oracle here, what this can do is it's got this animation here. We can click on any of these news headlines that it's got, and then what it can actually do from here is it's pulling in the latest news. You can see this was just consulted an hour ago. We just consulted the Hermes Oracle an hour ago. And then from here, we can pull in the latest, most trending news. So if we open this up, for example, this is a trending news post. And from there, we can either draft a social media post using this one click button, or we can actually publish to WordPress. And this is something where we can publish to 3 different websites, SEO optimized content, actually gives us the links of what we've created, and you can see that the social media post has been created here as well, right? And that's done for all of this section. Now, this is just one tiny little fragment of the Hermes Agent OS system. Basically, what an Agent OS is an agent operating system. So it's a place where you can have all of your agents, whether you use, for example, Claude CLI, whether you use anti-gravity, even if you just use one of these things. And then from there, what you can do is you can, for example, categorize all of the news as well based on what's trending, and you can see the date, how many posts it got, who it came from, what the topic is. So we actually published a guide on this morning, just in like one single click, and it's all fully customized to us, all completely unique. And we can draft the social media content and publish it to WordPress in like one click. So the speed really wins here. And if we need to refresh the topics, well, because it's running on a scheduled cron job with Hermes Agent, it'll refresh daily. But if we need to get new news in, like even newer, we can just click on Consult the Oracle and it will refresh the page for us, which is pretty amazing in itself. So you can see how powerful this is. Now that's just one tiny little fragment of this. What we also have over here is Hermes Jarvis. This is a voice activated version of Hermes that we can talk to and we can get it to do real things. So you can see here that we've got the full conversation. We can actually do a daily briefing on it as well. And it can also, for example, show us and build stuff in real time. So these are all builds that we've created with Hermes via the voice activated engine. And we can plug this on wall mode as well. So it sits on a monitor and we can have a wake word, or we can have it in real time where we just get it to do things in real time. So if we open this up, we say, okay, real time, open up Google, and you can see it just opens up right there, right? We can also turn that off or on. We can switch that off or toggle it back on as well. We could also say, okay, open up juliangoldie.com, and it just opens the website for us. And this is working in real time. Now we can switch it on and off. We can also get daily briefings. We can change the voice as well from the drop down. And so we've got Hermes Oracle, we've got Hermes Jarvis. Now what we also have, and these are new features that I've just added this morning, is this outreach agent. And this is pretty powerful because what we can do from here is we can turn Hermes into an outreach tool. Now, imagine, for example, if you were using inside the terminal Hermes agent like this, you just couldn't use it in the same way. You couldn't segment all the cool stuff that it can do. Whereas if we go to this section here, we have basically a full outreach tool created with Hermes Agent. So it can send emails and it can find leads for us. Plus it has a dashboard that breaks down everything that we've done. So for example, it's like, okay, here's a number of leads. Here's how many are validated. Here's how many people replied. Here's who you recently contacted, recent activity. And if we go to the lead section here, for example, if I type in like, I need a list of SEO agencies, it will find the relevant domain, the relevant email address, the status, so whether it's enriched as a lead or where it's not verified, and then also the notes on that topic, right? So for example, the notes about that company. Now, if we don't want to contact them, we can delete that. And also what it does is it hides the big companies. So anything that's, any company that's just too big to contact, it doesn't make sense to reach out to them, I can just delete off the list. And then we've got a list of companies that we can reach out to here. We can click on validate email addresses, and then we can start sending emails to them. Now we can also, for example, add our API keys inside the settings section here, and we can set a cap in terms of how many emails we send. We can add our Hunter API key and our Firecrawl API key as well to find the details on the leads and enrich them. Then we have our inbox as well. We have our sent items. We have the campaigns currently running. And we can also edit these as well or cancel them. And depending on the topic, it will actually come up with some ideas on how to do the outreach itself. So it will give us the first email and then the follow-up email as well. And we can preview it here. So it's pretty insane. Like, you can do all this stuff with Hermes Agent. Just 99% of people don't even realize it. We also have goal mode set up over here. What this means is basically you can give Hermes a goal and it will loop around, and a judge will quality control the work for like 20 turns. And if it's not fully completed, or if the work is not up to par, then it will just keep looping around in the background autonomously as an agent until the job is completed. And then the difference here between doing that inside like terminal and doing that inside here is that with this workspace, we can actually see our history and what we've done previously, right? So it's all saved in, which brings me to my next point. We have a memory galaxy plugged in here too. So every time we're using, for example, like Hermes Jarvis, is automatically logged into our memory galaxy so that our AI agents automatically update the system, and then we get the memory galaxy even richer, even more powerful, even more useful. Okay? And so the brightest stars are the memories that we worked on the most recently. And then we can also, for example, see that everything is interlinked. So we can see, for example, my decisions log. We can see our funnel strategy. We can see our notes about Claude. Everything is plugged into one organized system, which not just plugs into Hermes, but also goes to Claude and all of our other AI agents inside the system too. Now, additionally, we have a Kanban board here where we can orchestrate multiple different profiles of Hermes. So if we switch to our content studio, we can give this a task, and you can see here that it's created a fully edited video and a blog post on the done section. And basically what we do is we can give it a task here. It gets triaged as a task. Then that moves to the to-do, ready, running, or blocked. And our agents can work together as multiple different profiles. So for example, you could have like one Hermes profile, this SEO writer, one that's a quality controller, one that does research, and they all work as a team to create the outputs. And then you can actually preview them over here, which is pretty insane. We can also link Hermes Agent to Notebook LM. And so what this does essentially, as you can see right here, is that it uses an MCP and it links Notebook LM to our assets here, right? So these are all different things that we've created, like for example, infographics or PDF reports, research reports, videos, podcasts, etc. All gets pulled into our assets section inside Notebook LM. So we can easily connect with Notebook LM, we can organize it, we can get it to do stuff, etc. And then finally, we have like a video agent. This can easily, like in one single prompt, research, edit, and create videos in like one single click with Avatar. We have, for example, the loop engine where we can have two different Hermes agents working together and looping around until the job is done. We have the SEO engine where we can basically research from our Google Search Console, find relevant keywords, and then from there, based on the keyword research we get, we can use that topic. We can plug in a keyword, plug in a relevant case study for information gain, and just quickly publish that content to our website, like you can see right here, right? And so the main point here is like anything that you think you can automate with Hermes, you can, but you just want to make sure that you actually have a system where you can come back to it. Because if you set up a workflow with Hermes Agent, very hard to come back to it inside the terminal, very hard to come back to inside the desktop even. But if you have it segmented inside these sort of sections here, everything is custom built and ready to use whenever you need it. You can even link MCPs in one single click, as you can see over here. So we've got the MCP section. We can add a custom one, or we can pull in an existing approved one from Hermes Agent. We have the workspace with everything we've created with every single tool as well over here. So we can preview stuff that we've built and easily come back and test it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, we have the studio with images, videos, and voice. One final thing I would say is that we have Paperclip, right? So Paperclip is another way of orchestrating your agents. So we can have a team of Hermes agents working together in an organization. So you can see the org structure here. They can get stuff done like 24/7. We can preview everything that we built with them. We can create multiple different companies like that, and they can all run on local models or free APIs and then just build and ship things for you. Final thing that I would say is like if you have an idea, you can drop an idea into the idea system here. And I know this because like so many people want to build stuff, but they just don't have the time to sit down. So this takes you from idea to implementation in like 2 clicks. So for example, you can drop an idea over here, you shape it, you approve or decline it, and then it gets shipped and filled, as you can see, right? And so if you want my system, it's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. I just want to show you what's possible with this stuff and how powerful it is. I mean, building out a full SaaS tool that can do outreach is unbelievable. Building out a full tool with Hermes Agent that can do lead generation for you is insane, right? Creating an SEO tool with Hermes Agent that can basically pull in the latest trending news and then create social media content and also generate SEO blog posts in like one click. Insane. And this just automatically loops around every single day. So all this sort of stuff is unbelievable. And I just want to show you the power of what you can do with Hermes Agent and how powerful it actually is. So if you want to get my setup, you can. If you want to build it yourself, you could do that as well. I spend about 3 to 4 hours building this out. And then what I actually do is inside the AI Profit Boardroom, I update the system daily and share it with the community inside the Agent OS section here. Okay? So you can see the Agent OS system, you get the video tutorial, you get the last update date, you get a full guide on how to install it, and then you get the zip file where you can quickly install it, right? And every time there's a new update with Hermes, for example, like Hermes Email Agent or V0.17 or Loop Engineering or even the shopping assistant that came out recently, we just show you exactly how to use it with new daily tutorials. We answer your questions inside the community daily. So I personally answer these questions, and so does the community to help each other. There's always people online 24/7, and you can jump on 4 weekly coaching calls to get help and support in real time. Plus, inside the map, you can meet people locally who are building with AI agents just like you are. So this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to theaiprofitboardroom.com. If you wanted to build your own sort of custom version of this, well, you got 2 options. So number one, you could take my setup and then just customize it how you want. The other option is like you could begin to build it inside Claude. But what I will say is it takes a lot of time because you have to tweak, you have to test everything. Sometimes you change one thing over there and it breaks over here. And so really that's why I build it and then share it with the community, like you can see. Also, if you're wondering, okay, like, is this stuff technical to set up or how easy is it to set up, etc., you can see we have 188 pages of testimonials and wins from members inside the AI Profit Boardroom. For example, like Rick, he joined and within 30 minutes, he had the agent operating system set up and wired, right? Already got the superpowers built in. Amateo as well, he said, I've just got my agent OS via the AI Profit Boardroom. It's amazing. Just really learned everything I can do with it. Learning Hermes Direct versus pay-per-click for tasks. You can see, for example, people actually share what they're building. So Jose, he built his out in a day. He said, one day here, I've already had a big operation system, which is crazy. So like, there's so many people are using this and then customizing it how they want as well. That's the other thing. Is like, you can take this system, you can change the UI, you can change the setup, you can, tweak it how you want, and then build whatever you want with it. So hope to see you inside the AI Profit Boardroom. You can get the system there. Thanks for watching. Today, I'm going to show you the Hermes lead machine. So if you're using Hermes Agent, I'm going to show you what I've built. Basically, it's a system to generate leads for us in like one single click. So we have this whole outreach engine over here. If you want to generate leads, you can just navigate to the lead section. This is what I've set up here. And then from here, we can type in exactly what we want to find. And I'll show you exactly how it works in a second. But basically from here, we can find the leads and type in what we want. Now we can paste in leads as well if we already have a list that we need to enrich. Or what we can do from here is we can type in leads that we want and find and enrich them. So either way, you could use this for lead generation, which is pretty powerful. The way this works is with Hunter API. So for example, if we type in, okay, I need to find SEO agencies interested in link building. We'll click on find and enrich now. And you can see over here, that is beginning to find relevant leads based on our topic. Now, I actually ran this before just as a little demo. And you can see if we scroll down here, it actually finds the domain. So these are all the leads we've added. So the domain, the email, the size of the company, whether it's enriched or not, and then details about the company itself. So we can basically quickly find relevant leads in our industry on whenever we type in over here, and it quickly gets enriched automatically with Hermes Agent and the APIs that we've set up. And then it actually segments them all. So we've got like new, enriched, valid, contacted, replied, etc. And over here, we can actually delete or remove anything that's not relevant as well, which is pretty cool. So it's a powerful lead generation machine that we've plugged into Hermes. And I think this is the way to use Hermes Agent because, for example, if you were just going inside your terminal to do this, well, none of these custom workflows would exist. You could create a skill for it, but it would be kind of messy. And also it'd be very hard to come back to the work that you've created. And additionally, you wouldn't be able to manage what happens next after you set up the lead machine. So as an example of this, we have a look at this whole system. We can see the dashboard with who we've contacted, how many leads we've sent, We can edit our settings. So it's it feels like a SaaS tool, but it's running on Hermes Agent. And also with Hermes Agent, you can also plug in a free brain or a free API or a local model as well. And then you can generate leads whenever you want, which is pretty crazy in itself. So this was the example run that we did. The way that this works is you just describe, find, verify, and write. And I'll talk you through exactly how this works. So if we look at this example where we type in SEO agencies, it finds real people, it verifies them, it actually scores them. So if a lead's not the right fit in the back end, it actually scores the lead and then just removes anyone who doesn't fit into what we're trying to look for. From there, it writes a personal outreach email, and then you can start sending the emails as well, which is pretty cool in itself. So if you look at the old way, when I started my SEO agency, Goldie Agency, we were doing a lot of outreach with link building, but finding relevant clients or finding relevant websites to reach out to was super time consuming. You couldn't really automate it back then. You'd have to do everything by hand. Sometimes the emails weren't right. Sometimes they would bounce. And then also you've got like a bunch of different tools that are also segmented. And, for example, I might be going to Hunter in one side, and then I'm going into like Pitchbox in another, or I'm going into my emails to manage everything. And it's like everything is kind of duct taped together. With this system, we plug it all inside one place, and then we can automate and have things running 24/7 for us, which is pretty crazy. So this is the lead machine. Now it is experimental. We've just built it, but I mean, it looks pretty cool, and it actually works as I've shown you. So I can just type one sentence, the kind of client I want, or the kind of website I want to reach out to. It finds people who match. No list is needed, but we can plug in a list if we want to. It checks every email will actually land before I send. It writes a personal first line for each one, and then we will wake up to replies, not bounces, right? And you can have this too. It's the same system, but the old way is super slow and time consuming. The new way faster and fully automated. And, we've seen loads of people inside the Profit Boardroom get results with stuff like this. So, agency owners, e-com owners, coaches, etc. Loads of great testimonials from people winning with this stuff, as you can see. And so if you're thinking, this is just for you, Julian, or this is great for you, well, actually, anyone can set this up. Hermes is an open source project, and it's quite easy to customize. I'm not technical, but I can build this sort of stuff out. So, if you're watching this, just promise yourself one thing, that you'll finish this guide and describe your dream client in the machine today. Because the moment you switch, this changes the way you can get clients or the way you do outreach forever, right? It's a really powerful system that I've not seen anyone else implement. So how does it work? Well, there's 6 moving parts, and you only ever touch the first one. Here's what each part does for you. So you describe who you want to reach in plain English. That could be, for example, SEO agencies in the US. And this works for any industry. I'm just showing you SEO agencies because that's our niche for our Goldie agency. And that's the job. You don't need to use any filters. You don't need to use any spreadsheets or anything like that. From there, you can find them. So this can actually find real companies and real people that match. You don't need a list. You describe who you want, and it goes off and gets them. From there, it verifies. So it checks everything before you send. So you avoid bounces and that sort of thing. It also ranks each lead 0 to 100 on how well they fit. And it removes the ones that aren't the right fit. So you spend your time on the people most likely to say yes or to reply to you. It then writes a personal opener and a short email for every single lead by name and company. So you don't need to worry about personalization. This is all automated. And then it sends it through your own inbox. Now, with the inbox system, I actually use a separate email address for my Hermes agent that's not connected to my personal stuff. And I would recommend that you do the same just to keep it sandboxed in a way from anything else. And again, this is just an experiment to test what's possible, but it's pretty powerful so far and it is fun to use. So if you look at the old way, you'd be finding lists by hand, you'd be guessing people's email addresses, you'd be using several different tools, duct taping them together. Your outreach emails wouldn't be very personalized. And the results are like a lot of hours wasted. And then you reach out to websites that are not relevant or the right fit. With the new way, you just type what you want, it finds the right people, checks everything, scores everything, writes a personal email, and the end result is like you get actual good leads and you've automated the outreach, which is insane in itself. And this is basically how it works, right? Everything gets checked first, and if it's deliverable, we can send it out, right? If it's not, we don't. And we can delete everything, or we can remove anything, we can pause any campaigns, however we want to do it. So in one sentence, you get a whole pipeline where you find the leads and then you do the outreach. You might also say, well, this even work for my kind of business. I mean, if you can describe what customer you want to reach, it works. That could be, for example, like agencies, could be e-com stores, could be local services, whatever you want to use. Could be fully customized to you. Now, some people say this stuff takes hours to find good leads, but I think that's with the old way, because with this machine, it does all of that in one single click. That's it. Other people say, well, this is too technical to set up. Literally all you need to do is you get the agent OS if you want our system, or you could build it yourself, and then inside the settings section here, you can add your API key. And that's pretty much it. And then you just set up your email address as well, which is in the installation guide. Other people say, well, AI outreach, what's that like? So you can approve everything before it goes out and just check it. So that's basically it. If you want the full lead machine running for you with Hermes, I built this inside the Agent OS. It's a dashboard where Hermes, Claude, and the rest of your AI agents share one memory, one screen. The lead machine is just one small part of it. So you get the full agent operating system with every agent in one place, the lead machine wired in, a full 30-day roadmap to go from zero to finding leads, 4 coaching calls a week with people getting clients with this sort of stuff right now, and a room of 3,700 founders. So there's always someone online ready to help you. Now, if you want the agent operating system, we update it daily inside here. So if you go to the Agent OS, you'll find the video tutorial, the last update date, the zip file, and a full guide on setting up. We also have, for example, full guides on how to use email with Hermes Agent, how to set up. We've got new stuff dropping all the time based on the new useful things that actually come out. Inside the community, you can ask questions, and I personally answer these community questions every single day with a video tutorial. And also, there's always someone online 24/7, so you can get help and support whenever you need it. And then also inside the calendar, you can jump on 4 weekly coaching calls. So you can share your screen, you can meet other community members, you can ask questions, you can come with problems that you have. And also inside the map, you can meet people in your local area who are building with AI agents just like you. So feel free to get that link in the comments description, or just go to the aiprofitable.com. Thanks for watching. Today, I want to show you this powerful new email agent that I've set up with Hermes. And this is basically like a full custom tool that you can use with Hermes for email outreach, right? So I want to break down exactly how it works, step by step, how it works, what I've built. It is quite experimental at the same time, but I'm just building it into the agent operating system. I want to show you just what's possible with this sort of stuff. So you can see here, basically we have this outreach section inside Hermes. So I've got an agent operating system, as you can see right here. If you go into Hermes, we've got like Hermes Jarvis, which is a voice activated version of Hermes. We have the Hermes Oracle, as you can see right here. But one of the most interesting things that we built is the outreach section. And so what we could do with here is we can train Hermes Agent to do email outreach, and then we can organize all the data that it comes back with. So we've got a dashboard here with the number of leads plugged in, how many are validated, how many are sendable. If there's any companies that are too big to outreach to, it doesn't make sense because they're just not going to reply, then we skip those. And really the reason that I created this is because we want to use it for, link building outreach for our SEO agency. We do a lot of link building for clients, and we want to build like our own sort of custom tool. And with Hermes Agent, it's actually possible to do this. So you can see the recent activity over here, and it gives you the date, who we contacted, etc., what the topic was. And then we have this section for lead generation. So we can find new leads. We can type in what we want. So if I type in SEO agencies, it pulls up a list of SEO agencies, the domain, the email address, the size of the company, the status, whether the lead is enriched or not. And then it has notes on each lead, right? And we can choose whether we want to select those and start using them inside a campaign. It actually hides the companies that are too big. We can delete any that we don't like. So if we're like, right, okay, we shouldn't reach out to them, we can delete them off the list. And also we have the campaign section. So if we want to find leads, literally we just type in what type of lead we're looking for, and then from here it finds it and enriches it. Now inside the campaign section, you can see that we can design a campaign. So we already have one over here for backlink outreach. It shows us how many sent, how many drafts we did, how many bounces we got, and how many people we contacted. And so over here, we've got the email copy. We've got the audience who we could reach out to based on those leads I just generated. And from here, we've got the sent items as well. So we can see who we sent to. Now, emails are hidden here. If we want to unhide them, we just click on that. And also it has a system where if like email bounces too many times, then we just don't send, and it stops the campaign and just make sure that we verify them first. And then over here, we have the system inside our settings where we can add an API key, right? So for lead generation, we can plug in Hunter as an API key. We can add Firecrawl as well as another API key. We can see which systems we've got set up, and we can also connect, for example, our email address. Now, when you're using something like Hermes, because it's an agent and it's connected to your systems, I would recommend that you have a separate inbox for Hermes Agent so that, number one, it doesn't have access to your main inbox. And number two, it's clear that it's an AI agent when you're reaching out to people. You could put that inside the email copy as well. Again, this is just an experiment that I'm working with right now, but it's pretty fun and interesting what you can build with this. And also, already it looks really, really cool. So how does this work? Well, you find who you want, then you can enrich it, then you can verify the email address actually works using Hunter. You can filter, so you can skip like the companies that are too big. Then it sends, and you can track who replied, right? So you get leads in, replies out, and each step removes a reason really that a cold email would fail from this system. So pretty interesting. I would call it the Hermes Outreach Engine, and there's really 6 moving parts. So you can describe who you want to reach. For example, like if I have an SEO agency and want to sell white label to agencies, well, then we can put like, okay, I want to contact SEO agencies who are interested in white label link building. Then we can enrich it. So what this means is basically it turns each company it finds into a real person, right? And finds the details of them. Then it verifies this. So it checks whether the email address is actually valid or not. It filters it. So it will remove giant companies that are just never going to reply. So number one, you get a better deliverability and better reply rate as well. Then you can send it. So with one message, you get the drafted email campaign, and then you can track. So you can track, all your dashboard, all the settings, all the analytics and everything else. So a pretty cool system right there. And it lives inside the agent operating system. So, if you think about it before, you'd have to do all of this manually, or you'd have to, for example, find a good tool for it. So we've used Pitchbox. We currently use Pitchbox as well, our SEO agency. But now we can type who we want to reach. It finds a real person. It checks the email address before every send. It skips the giant companies that never apply anyway, and it sends from an agent inbox. And it's the same sort of system, but now it's fully automated with AI. Bear in mind, you can get the system to write the email campaign for you as well. Now, you can also track what it actually does step by step. So you see the people you're going to send to. You can check the address before I send. And also with all your leads, it actually does a size check. So whether it's realistic, small to medium websites are much more likely to reply than ones that are too big. It writes it, then you can preview it, and then you can send it to everyone. So you can write one message. You get a live preview. And then the interesting thing here is the engine fills in all the details for you. From there, it sends out. And also, you can have draft mode. So you can review every message first before it sends out. Nothing sends out before you approve it, which is pretty cool. And you can read your inbox here, which is great. So it's connected to the email inbox that we've plugged into the system. And there you can see exactly who got what, who replied. You can stop it as well. So, if there's anything that's wrong with the campaign, you can delete it or stop it or pause it. You can see what emails were sent as well. It's pretty powerful stuff. So that is the Hermes Outreach Engine. The way that we set it up, if you're wondering, okay, how did you do all this? Well, basically, I got Claude to help me build it out inside Claude Desktop, just gave it the idea that we're working on. And then I plugged it into this agent operating system where I just add all the automations and all the workflows I work on day to day. And then from here, we just connected it to Hunter API, and we give access to Hermes Agent. We give it access to Himalaya, which is a skill where it can read the email inbox and it can reply anything else. And then finally as well, we make sure that it has access to Google Workspace API so that it can access and send emails and read the emails from the inbox. So with those 4 things, Hunter, Google Workspace, Himalaya, and Hermes Agent, you can have this run however you want, which is pretty powerful. And also you could use this with a OAuth login. So it could be, for example, you could be running this with something like Grok, OAuth, that's pretty good. Minimax coding plan would work as well. Anything that you want. Now, some people say, well, cold email doesn't work anymore, but actually we build a lot of backlinks with cold email, and there's a lot of people getting awesome results with outreach. I mean, there's so many people inside the AI Profit Boardroom who have asked for something like this. It was like, right, let's actually build it out. Other people say, well, I need expensive tools to do this properly. But actually, no, because you can use this system inside our agent operating system, which is in the AI Profit Boardroom, or you could just build it yourself like I did. Other people say, well, I'll set up outreach later when I have time. But every week you wait is a week of not making progress on the system. So I would definitely recommend setting up ASAP. If you're wondering, okay, like, is the agent operating system technical, or do you need to be super technical to use it? You can see, for example, Rick set it up in like 30 minutes. Amateo's absolutely loving it. We got loads of people inside our list of wins and testimonials who are running the agent operating system, and so many people getting great results with it. I know it works for pretty much anyone at this point. You don't need to be technical. So what did you learn today? Well, you learned how to stop guessing, because now Hermes can actually find the leads for you. You learned how to avoid bounces because you can verify the emails with Hunter API. You learned how to stop wasting time on outreach as well, so you only contact like the small, medium companies. You learned how to basically automate the actual email itself with Hermes so it can write the email for you. And you can pause, you can delete campaigns, you can see it working in real time. It's inside a tab that's inside your agent operating system as well. So it's all plugged in with all your workflows, right? So if I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to do some outreach, I just go here, right? If I'm like, right, okay, I need to check my memories, I've got my second brain over here, right? If I'm like, right, okay, well, I need to generate a video, here I can do it. If I need to do SEO, here we go, right? And so everything's just plugged into one system where we can come back to it at any time we need to. So that's basically it. That's a whole system. I will keep evolving it. It's pretty simple at the minute, but I think sometimes the simplest systems are the best. So if you want to grab my agent operating system, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. The outreach engine is just one tab inside it, and every other tool I build lands in there too. So you get the full zip file, every prompt, the memory setup, coaching calls, where we set up your outreach together, 3,600 members, daily tutorials, and a member map. And this is all inside our AI Profit Boardroom community. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Inside the community, you can ask questions, and I personally answer them every single day with video tutorials. There's always people online, so you can ask questions and get help and support whenever you need it. Inside the classroom, you can get access to all of our best training. So if you're a complete beginner with this stuff, you can go from beginner to expert here. If you want the Agent OS system with the outreach engine, we've got it here with a video tutorial. You can see it's updated daily, and you get a zip file as well. And then we add new lessons based on what's just dropped as well. So if you really like Hermes, for example, we've got a full tutorial on the email agent, how to set it up. We have a full guide on the new update from Hermes, and you can jump on weekly coaching calls where you share your screen, ask questions in real time, etc. Inside the map, you can meet people in your local area who are building with AI agents like you, and that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So hope to see you inside there. Cheers for watching. We have a new member of the squadron, my friends. Hermes Agent have added a pet. I'm going to show you how to set up, what it's used for, what it means, and how to use the Hermes Agent Sidekick system. So let's get straight into this. Your agent now has an animated pixel pet that reacts to everything it does, resting, thinking, done, or stuck, so you can read its status in a single glance. This was a brand new update that just dropped a few hours ago, and so your Hermes agent can now adopt an animated pet. This is a small sprite that reacts to what the agent is doing, idle, running a tool, thinking, waiting, finishing, or failing in the GUI or TUI, or in your agent operating system, like you can see we have added right here. And you actually have nearly 3,000 pets to choose from via the Pet Decks gallery, or you can actually submit your own, which is pretty cool. So how does this work? Well, basically, you have your agent working away, the Sidekick changes the pose to match, and in just one glance, you know exactly what's going on. So whilst your agent works, the Sidekick changes pose to match, and you read its status in one glance. It's kind of like easy to figure out, okay, where is your agent up to? What is it doing right now? So, for example, if we choose this pet, and I'll show you how to set it up in a second. You have the same pet, but 5 faces and one for whatever your agent is doing. This is the magic. The pet isn't decoration, it's a status light with a personality. As your agent moves through work, the pet swaps pose to match. So you stop reading spinners and log lines. You just look at the little guy and go, right, he's doing this, he's doing that. And these are the 5 real poses straight from my dashboard. So you can see that we have the pet set up over there, and you can see we've got idle, we've got thinking, done, failed, waiting, and each one of these changes. So for example, when it's failed, you can see it crying right there. You might also say, like, what is the actual point of this? So The point is peripheral awareness. You don't watch your agent every second, but you can just glance over whilst doing something else. So a spinner tells you nothing. Like, for example, if it's just working inside the terminal, but a pet sort of waves when it's done or cries when it failed, tells you the one thing you needed without reading a word. So it's just kind of like an easy way to figure out, okay, where's your agent up to? Now, how can you set this up? There's three ways. You can use a command line, you can use a desktop, and we've got an agent operating system dashboard set this up as well. So you can have one pet, same agent, same step, and then you just look and glance whenever you're working. You might also say, does this work outside of Hermes' own apps? So the pet ships with Hermes in the command line and the TUI and the desktop app. They're all built in. We actually added it inside the agent operating system dashboard as well. It took a little bit of wiring, but if you run it the normal way, it just appears so you don't need to wire in. We've done that for you. So let me show you an example. If we say, okay, what you're doing, it's now going to start thinking and it changes its pose. That's how easy it is to use. Now you might be wondering, okay, how do you actually do this? Let me show you an example while I started thinking. So what you can do is you can run Hermes updates. You need to get the latest version of Hermes as this just dropped. Once you've done that, you've got the pet engine. Then you can actually browse the gallery. So if you run inside your terminal, Hermes pets list, as you can see right here. So if we do Hermes pets list, you can see all of the different types of characters that we can pull in. Then you can install whichever one you want. So for example, if you wanted to install Boba, you would do Hermes pets install Boba select. And you can see once that's done, by the way, it's got the response right here. So once it's idle, we get idle back. Then you can watch it react. So you open a chat with your agent, the pet sits in the corner, changes poses as the agent works. And then you can also make it yours. So you can actually resize it with Hermes Pet Scale. You can swap pets at any time, or you can turn it off with Hermes Pets Off. Nothing is permanent. You can just switch it around and change it however you want. So the way this works is just a sprite. So you can't touch your code, your files, your agent's work, etc. You get nearly 3,000 pets to choose from, including otters, dragons, cats, robots, characters. And you can search the pet decks for your favorite. And it's one command to undo. So if you just type in Hermes Pets Off, it will remove it instantly if it's not for you. And it comes free with Hermes in the installation. Again, you might say this is a pointless gimmick. It's just like a status light that you actually look at it, right? So when you're looking at the terminal, you don't really know what's going on, but this is a better way to see what's happening. Also, you might say, well, anything on screen that moves will distract me, but it's pretty quiet, as you can see right here. Other people say, well, little touches like this don't matter. I don't know if I would use it all the time, honestly, but the tool you enjoy opening is a tool that you actually use every day. So making your agent feel alive isn't really like a fluffy, nice add-on. It's kind of what turns you into someone from just using agents to someone who customizes and makes the agents feel like it's their own. In the same way that, for example, we've got Hermes Oracle and it's just sitting there ready to go and we can see what it's doing. Like if we consult the Oracle, it will actually change color and it will totally change its state depending on what it's doing. So it's pretty useful for just seeing, okay, where are we up to with this current setting? And there's so many to choose from, as you can see right here. So once you've picked one, you can just change the settings anytime you want to. So that's basically it. What did you actually learn today? How to check your status on Hermes in like one single glance. The pose matches work, idle thinking, done, failed, waiting. You stop watching the terminal and you don't need to tab back to read a spinner that says nothing. You don't miss a failure because the crying pose flags a broken run from across the room, an agent that's yours so you can pick from 3,000 pets, and the tool you enjoy is the one you use the most, right? And then it's free, so you can just try it, see what you think. Now, if you want to get our full Hermes agent operating system with this system, as you can see right here, we've also set up an outreach email agent with Hermes, a lead generator. We've got Hermes Jarvis, which we can actually speak to in real time. It can build stuff for us, and it can even use computer use and browser use for us. We have Hermes Oracle, which actually pulls in the latest news and then can generate social media content for us and even publish directly to our website, like you can see. So if we pull this up, this can actually pull in the latest news and then create awesome blog posts about it. As you can see, it's pretty insane. So if you want to get this, plus the memory galaxy that plugs into all of this, you can get this inside our AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support. I personally answer them every day with a video tutorial. Inside the classroom, you can actually get access to all of our best trainings. We have loads of trainings on Hermes, Hermes Agent, the new Learn update that just came out that basically turns any guide into a new skill. We've got the Hermes email agent guide right here, the Agent OS system. And every time there's something useful that comes out from Hermes, we create a video tutorial and a full step-by-step guide on how to use it. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls. Inside the map, you can actually meet people in your local area who are using AI agents like you. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the aiprofitboardroom.com. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye. So today we're going to be answering some of the latest questions on our agent operated system about Hermes Oracle. We've got, for example, Hermes Jarvis, which is a voice activated version of Hermes. We can, for example, like take the latest trending news and then we can publish an SEO blog post about it to our WordPress in one single click. We can pull in the latest news right here. We even have like an outreach tool now for doing outreach with a Hermes agent. And if you don't have the leads, you can actually use the system here to generate more leads on the spot. And we're built in goal mode. So there's some really cool stuff that we've built in lately. I'll show you some other cool stuff. Like we built in, for example, Fugu from Sakana, right? Which is on benchmarks, apparently better than using Fable 5. Now test it for yourself. But what you can see here is like it can generate some pretty nice stuff. Like this is like real world, open world stuff, as you can see right here. And it's pretty simple and easy to use. So we've already built this into our systems, where basically what we can do here is we can use Fugu and Sakana inside the chat and then just generate anything you want. We also have like loop engineering built in. We've got a full video agent, a music agent, all sorts of crazy stuff. But what I want to do today is just run through some of the latest FAQs we've had inside the AI Profit Boardroom, because I know like if people are posting about this stuff, you probably have questions about this stuff as well. And so we can all learn and we can grow and we can help each other together. So I'm going to run through like some of the latest wins, what people are posting, what's been useful, what people have learned, etc. So let's have a look today. This is pretty cool. So Joe's built out a new tool with Codex and Hermes, where basically it can automate based on a topic the images and the blog post itself. So it's kind of like an SEO workflow where you can take a topic and then plug it directly to your website right here. And he's actually posted an example tutorial of how it works. The thing I love about this is like, you know, people are just sharing and learning and growing together. And, you know, there's nothing held back inside this community. It's just a way of like saying, hey, we built this cool stuff. Maybe it'd be useful for you to build it too. And it sparks a lot of good ideas between us. A lot of my best ideas for the agent operating system that we've built and share inside the AI Profit Boardroom comes from the requests and the stuff that comes up inside the community. Let's see what we got here. So Patrice has basically built a 3-layer omni-channel CRM, an automation hub that powers his travel websites and newly launched mobile app, which is pretty insane. Right. And bear in mind, like a lot of these people are not coders or technical people. I'm not a technical person, but you know, people are building like this crazy stuff, like, you know, the full-on software or apps or like multiple websites that can automatically publish SEO content for them. And then they break down like the full stack and how it works step by step. It's pretty insane. Now, this is a good question, which is from Mark. And it's like, you know, as a new AI builder, should you learn NA10? Which is good for building out like multi-step workflows? Or should you focus on MCP? Or what's the best way to learn and build with this stuff, right? So if I had a choice, I'd go with NA10 because it's more of a platform. Whereas, for example, something like an MCP, you can actually use in your NA10 workflows. So it's kind of like a little bit like comparing apples and oranges. And I would say that NA10 is better to learn than just focusing on MCP servers. However, if you ask the question, should you focus on, for example, Hermes or Claude or NA10? I'd probably recommend at this point that unless you're an absolute beginner, unless you're starting from zero, learning something like Claude or Hermes is going to be way more powerful because it's basically a no-code version of NA10. So those are the two options I'd recommend. If you have a choice between NA10 and MCPs, go with NA10. If you had a choice between Claude, Hermes, or NA10, then I'd go with Claude or Hermes, because these are like no-code versions. They're easier to build automation workflows. So Jay Parsons, absolute legend in the AI Profit Boardroom, he's sharing what he's been building with his own agent operating system. And basically what a lot of members do is they get our agent operating system from the classroom as you can see it right here. And it comes with a video tutorial. You can see when it was last updated. So this was just updated today, and you get the zip file to install it too. But the great thing about that is you can also customize this exactly how you want. So if you have a look at what Jay's done here, and this is just in one single day, right? And he's been working on his agent operating system for a few weeks, but today everything clicked for him. And this is quite often the case. Is, you're learning AI, you have a few problems here and there. You have to learn a few things along the way, which everyone does. We're all starting from scratch. But at the same time, eventually everything clicks. It's kind of like learning a language, I would say. So he's actually built his own team of AI agents with Paperclip and launched a CEO agent that autonomously defined a 3-pillar business strategy, hired 2 specialist agents, and built a live task board. Now, if you're not sure what Paperclip is, you can see an example inside my agent OS, where basically we've got a team of agents. They can work 24/7. They can build and complete tasks, as you can see right here, and we get a checklist of what they've done. And then once it's all completed, we can view it inside our gallery, as you can see right here. And so it's a powerful way of having agents being orchestrated together when you've got multiple agents. So if you've got Claude, you've got OpenClaw and Hermes, it's like, well, how do you get them working together? Well, one of the best ways to get them working together is to plug them into a team like this with Paperclip. Then they can complete tasks for you, and then you can see everything they've built in one place, which is pretty cool. He's also created a content producer and, connected Paperclip inside Mission Control. And also, this is pretty crazy. He's using local Claude code for everything, which we've built in. So you can see free Claude code over here. Basically, what this means is that you can use local or free APIs with your Claude code harness. So you can still get the benefits of Claude code, but you use a free API inside it. Pretty powerful stuff. So Thomas was asking about free Claude code and how to set it up, or which lesson it is inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So this is the open source project that we use for free Claude code, and we've already built it inside the agent operating system. If you go to this section here, you can even control it with your voice, and you get a chat and a workspace as well, so you can run it with local agents too, or free APIs. And if you want to get a full lesson on how to use it and how to set it up, we've got that right here too. So there's 2 options really. You can go straight to the GitHub and you can use free Claude code, and we have a full training on it as well. Or you can get it inside the agent OS and it's already plugged in. So it's up to you which one you prefer to use. We got a pretty cool win here from Gulam. So Gulam was saying, like, he didn't want this to sound like a sort of this changed my life comment, but basically he said 3 weeks ago he was just, checking if this was real, checking if it was actually useful and stuff. And he said, what got me wasn't like the trainings or the courses. It was realizing this community runs on something most people don't, which is people actually show their work. And I've shared a couple of examples of that earlier today, but I think this is just really good. Like, the whole point of the community is that we learn, we grow, we keep it positive, and we just keep learning on this journey. You can see Mike as well. He was saying the same thing. It's like, it's such a fantastic way to learn. And also, I think a lot of people join for the trainings, but they stay for the friends because we all connect together. We all share what we're working on. There's a lot of like regular members who post cool stuff all the time. So it's a great place to be. I think, when you're learning AI, it can be super lonely because it's very hard to find people who are deep into it. If you're watching something like this, you're probably quite deep into learning AI. And so this is a great place to connect and just learn and grow together. This is pretty insane. So you can see here, Jose is now on day 5 of building his own operating system. And he's been using our setup, but then tweaking it and customizing it exactly how he wants. So you can see he said, I've learned how to make a fully functional agentic OS. And not only that, I'm studying about it for my college. Now I want more ideas and to learn how I can build better workflows for self-hosted NA10. And you can see what he's built here. So he's taken our idea on the Obsidian Vault and then plugged that into his own setup. And you can see here as well, he's plugged in the Notebook LM MCP setup as well, which we've got inside the Agent OS. So you can see an example right here. If we go to the memory layer, we've got Obsidian ready to go. And then we have Notebook LM over here too, right? And you can see like, we can just generate full research reports. We can generate infographics, videos, podcasts whenever we want for free using the Notebook LM MCP. So for the next setup, I would start wiring in with NA10, the MCP. So if you want to use NA10 inside your Agent OS, you can actually use the MCP connection. And then you could have, for example, something like Claude building your NA10 workflows for you inside the CLI. For making the pipeline better or adjusting a keyword, you can go straight to the agent that set it up for you and just request it to change something. Also, one thing I'd say on the Notebook LM section is like you could probably make that even more visual, which would be super interesting. That'd be quite a cool tweak to see. This is something I've seen as well. Like Claude, it hasn't actually today. It's not broken on me, but like every day I've seen like some sort of situation where it says the model isn't available or this isn't working. So I've seen this every day. I think the great thing about having an agent operating system is like if one model goes down or it gets taken down, as we saw with Fable 5, you can just control the system and then switch to something else. So, for example, if Claude goes down, no problem, we're going to change to Hermes. If Hermes and Claude were both down, which I've never seen before, then we could switch to like GLM 5.2. So that's the best thing about having separate CLIs inside your agent OS. So Kenneth is asking about AI automations and basically a setup where he could, for example, automate a morning brief automation. And I'll show you what we've done in two different ways in a second. So basically, the idea is to create a digest. You could look at your inbox or current news or that sort of thing, but he doesn't want to overcomplicate it. So there's two things that I've built recently that I think would interest you a lot. And I've included a link down here as well to it. So one of the things that we built recently was Hermes Oracle. And basically what this can do is take like the latest trending news on Twitter. It automatically refreshes every day. It's categorized by which news is trending the most and the most important. And then also it links directly to the post about it as well on Twitter, which is pretty cool. And then what we can actually do from there is we can draft a blog post to WordPress directly on our WordPress websites without logging in based on the new news updates, so we can rank it for SEO. And then also we can easily draft like a social media post as well quickly too. And the thing that I learned from that is that Twitter is probably the best for getting the latest news and information. And you can use Grok API with that. Or I used Grok with her. In terms of what I learned to keep it simple is, yeah, try and simplify as much as you can. So, for example, if I was building this out from scratch again, what I would do is just go to Claude and say, hey, can you schedule in a daily morning brief using this API from Grok? Search for the latest news in my industry and give it news about your industry. Search for the latest emails in my inbox and connect it to your emails, and then just go from there. There's a connector button inside your settings to connect your emails to Claude so that it can read your inbox too. The other cool thing about that is when you ask Claude to set it up, it will just guide you through the steps based on your idea. Pretty simple. So I'd recommend starting with Claude on that because it'll be the simplest, easiest place to quickly build it out. Kenneth was saying about like how to get the value out of a community. And what he does, he actually keeps a running notepad on the classes and homework. This works really well. Actually, one thing that I learned from studying, I learned 5 different languages. So I learned Chinese, Spanish, Thai, and Italian. And one of the things that helped me the most was using Anki flashcards. So if I really need to learn something and embed it in my memory, what I do is I create a flashcard from that with a setup where I have to guess a word. And then every day I run through that flashcard deck. And the cool thing about that is it's based on repetition, spaced repetition, which means that if I need to learn anything, I can quickly remember it with Anki flashcards. So, for example, you could take your notepad and then plug it into Anki. That's something that worked really well for me. This is an interesting question from Ryan, who says, with the Jarvis voice system, has anyone set it up so we can access more of their computer? So the way that we did this, and I'll pull up Hermes Jarvis now. Hey, Jarvis, could you open up juliangoldie.com? And you can see here it opens up the website, right? Could you open up Google? And you can see here it opens up Google, right? Now, you can even, for example, open up computer apps. Hey, Jarvis, could you open up Obsidian? And there you go. So it's working in real time. So we have this set up already with Hermes Jarvis based on the latest updates where it can basically operate in real time using ChatGPT and its latest API for audio. And then It can open things up, but it can't really edit things unless we switch to agent mode. So you'll see a button for auto and agent, and you can switch between them like that. You can click between them. And basically, what that means is if you switch to agent mode, then it has more control. It's a bit slower to reply, but you can edit things locally. You can actually change and adjust the permissions based on what you want it to do. And I think the key here is like, don't let it do anything you're not comfortable with. So if you're unsure, don't do it, basically. And you can set clear rules and guardrails with the agent that helps you set up this whole system. So we got a good question from Rabbit here, which is basically where he's switched from tool to tool. So for example, he started using OpenClaw, then he tried Hermes Agent, and then he likes the idea of Claude Code and Anthropic, but he doesn't want to use APIs. And then also what happened is when he was migrating from a VPS, he actually couldn't use Claude anymore. And then he started checking out GenSpark. And this is very, very common. Like some people will be watching this and going, yeah, that's me. Like I've spent so much time switching between tools, testing different things. I think from what I can see, you probably just want to focus more and lock into one tool. So for example, if you like Claude, then I would just stick to Claude. If you can't use Claude anymore, then I would switch to something like Hermes and just master Hermes. The key here is like you don't need to build your own agents and you don't need to switch from tool to tool. You just need to master and focus on one. So like even for example, inside the agent OS, we have all these different CLIs and tools that you can use. But honestly, 99% of people are just going to use one or two, which is great. I think it's always better to simplify and focus and move in one direction because that's how you improve your skill set. Whereas if you're switching from tool to tool and model to model, then it can get a bit messy and you don't really build a skill set because you get shiny object syndrome. So personally, looking through everything that you've done, just pick one. If I had to pick one of those, I would go with Hermes myself if you can't access Claude anymore. And then my second pick would be GenSpark. But the main point here is like focus on one thing and just build from there. This is a good question from Alex. Alex is saying, Jarvis is taking a while to reply back. But as you saw a second ago, it's really fast for me, right? It can literally run in real time. And this is a recent update that we've added. So recently we added it and you'll see it inside the new updates. We added ChatGPT and its new API for real-time talk, and it's way faster to respond. So I'd recommend using that instead if you can. This took the response time from like probably about 10 to 15 seconds down to like maximum 1 to 2. And also you can switch between agent mode and auto mode. Auto mode is a lot faster. All right, and we've answered every single question inside the AI Profit Boardroom today. So you can see the power of this stuff. You can see what people are building. You see how useful the community is as well. If you want to get my setup with the Agent OS Hermes Oracle, we got Hermes Jarvis over here. We have, for example, our outreach tools. You can see we've even plugged in an idea to implementation idea generator, because I know loads of people have ideas for apps and stuff they want to build, but they're like, they just don't have the time to build them. So what we set up here is like a system where you can just drop an idea in, you approve the plan, and then it just gets shipped and you can see what was actually built in the end, right? Which is pretty cool. Plus, the great thing about this is whether you're using Hermes, whether you're using Claude, or like you saw before, whether you're using all of them, it doesn't matter because you can plug them all into an agent operating system like that. So if you want to get my full system, you can get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. If you go to the classroom here, go to new daily updates, you will find the latest version of the Agent OS with a video tutorial, last update date, so you know it's updated today, and also the zip file to install it fully. Now, we also have new tutorials daily based on the new cool stuff that comes out. So you can see some new stuff that's come out recently and we just add it inside the community. I answer your questions personally, as you can see today. Every single question gets answered by me with a video tutorial every day, like you can see today. And also the great thing about this is there's always people online. So if you're stuck with something, as you can see right now, there's 123 people online, which means you can get help and support whenever you need it. And people are just sharing amazing stuff, as you can see. So feel free to get out all my best trainings inside the classroom. We've got 4 weekly coaching calls where you can get help and support in real time, share your screen, ask questions. Inside the map, you can actually meet people in your local area who are building with AI agents like this. And you can also connect with me personally and direct message me too. So thanks for watching. So today I'm going to show you Hermes Oracle, which is a powerful way to use Hermes to basically search the web. You can consult it, and then what you can actually do is get the most updated news, and you'll never fall behind again. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that a lot of people face is like they struggle to use number one AI for actually staying up to recent news and to get the latest headlines in. And I'll show you the solution that we came up with, which is more powerful than anything I've ever seen. Number two, to do it in a way, in a system where you can come back to it all the time. And then number three, to actually build it in a place where you've got all of your agents plugged in and to get the most out of Hermes. And bear in mind as well, like if you were using, for example, the terminal to do this or Hermes desktop, this is Hermes Oracle over here. If we were using Hermes desktop or Hermes terminal, the difference in the UI is huge, right? Like this is going to be way more fun, way more interesting. You're way more likely to come back to something like this versus, for example, if you check the terminal, like that is going to just run out pretty quickly. And the other thing is, well, like where's your history? Where's all the stuff that you've researched recently? You can't find it, right? Whereas with this system, I'm going to show you a powerful system that we've actually created to basically save the results that you come up with, and then you can look back on that and use it to train your AI agent. So you could use this for anything. It could be, for example, news in your industry. It could be, for example, coming up with content ideas. It could be also just helping you personally make sure that you never fall behind with AI again. Or this could be for anything. You know, if you're, for example, like running a marketing agency, you could run this for your agency. If, for example, you have clients, you could actually build this for clients, right? It's very, very flexible. So let's talk about the Hermes Oracle system and how this works. This is based on Hermes Agent, which is the AI that's basically the number one on the planet right now. We basically use that system to come up with this and visualize it in a powerful way. So every morning, what happens here is we have a system where it's going to look for new ideas, then it's going to rank them by which one's the most useful. From there, it's actually going to come up with new angles for our content. And from there, it will actually ship the whole update. And this is pretty interesting because previously, when we were using something like this, you know, if you went into, let's say, I mean, there's a lot of people watching who still do this, but I'm pretty shocked by it. But if you were going into, for example, Claude and saying, you know, latest AI news, for example, and we wait for that to load. Number one, you've got to wait for it to load. Number two, it's not really going to give you useful links. Number three, it doesn't give you the most relevant, useful stuff. So if I have a look at these headlines, I'm like, well, how can I actually use this? I can't. These are all like not really tool updates, not really actionable advice that I can use. Whereas, for example, if we look at this, it's like, okay, here's what's been released. Here's a link. Boom shakalaka. There we go. We've got the latest news updates ordered by relevance and how practical it is. So this is the old way, which is not useful at all. This is a new way, which is 10 times more powerful. And that's the power of Hermes Oracle and how you can use it to get way more out of Hermes Agent. And the other problem that a lot of people face as well is like, you know, they might go into X, start scrolling to find what's useful, spend 20 minutes trying to research, then 40, and half the time, you know, you might post about something and find out the wave has already finished. You know, you're behind before you even try to get ahead. And then the other time, you try and guess the angle of, like, let's say, for example, the content you were creating or the idea or, you know, whatever you're producing here. And that again would create problems. So, for example, what we've got here inside each update where we get the latest news is we have a system where basically it shows us, okay, here's the angle and how we can frame this to help us. Here's a quote. We can actually generate a draft to post. So we can click on draft this and come up with an idea. And then it gives us a news headline, tells us how many posts it got, when it was released, who released it. So, for example, this news release is from OpenAI. And then we can actually open that up and see the post itself, right? That is how powerful this is. And so I actually wish like Twitter had this feature directly. That would be way more useful. They do have like a trending feature, but it's not that useful compared to this. This will literally find the latest, most useful updates, and then it will give you the angle. It will tell you, it will give you an option to draft the social media post or whatever content you're trying to create around this. It will tell you why it's useful, and it will also rank it in terms of, you know, how important this is. So you can see, for example, this scores 91, and then if you scroll down, this scores 88. And this is all like super recent relevant news. And the reason that we connected it to X is like, you know, Twitter is probably the best place to find out about the latest stuff. And this is how you can stay updated with whatever you want to create. And so, you know, when I wake up now, the Hermes Oracle has already swept through Twitter. It's already found the latest trending articles and it's ranked them by how big the conversation actually is. So each one comes with the real source, my angle, and a hook that we can use for our content as well, which is super powerful in itself. So this is how we're using Hermes Oracle. And if you look at the new way versus the old way was like you just scroll in trying to find something useful, guessing if it's actually big, finding the old news and trying to find the new news, and it's a lot of work. The new way is like you could just quickly pick and find stuff, and it will just quickly sort of filter down all of the headlines and find the most relevant stuff to you using this Hermes Oracle. And so the way that I look at this is it's a framework where it's sweep, rank, angle, and ship. So sweep is it finds the latest news. Rank is it basically sorts by how big and how useful the update is. Angle is basically for each potential topic, it will find interesting angles that you can create content around. If you're not a content creator, that doesn't matter. This tool is still going to be useful. But if you are a content creator, or if you're, for example, trying to get more leads for your business, whatever, this is a fantastic way to stay ahead of the news and to drop this into whatever industry you're in. And then ship, right? So you can open up the source tweet, you can read the hook, and then you can actually post around it. Right? So let's have a look at this example. So it's drafting the post here in real time based on the angle that it recommended. We've got the original post here. We can quote that. Now we've got the post, as you can see, and then you can just drop in the post like that. Boom, shakalaka, right? And that's how easy it is to like stay ahead and stay trending and everything else. So basically, how does this work? Well, one agent does all of it. So with Hermes Oracle, here's the part that actually makes it reliable, is that the whole thing runs on one agent, which is Hermes. And we've used Grok OAuth. So if you already have a Twitter subscription, the great thing about this is you can actually log into Hermes with OAuth using Grok. And then you don't need any API keys, you don't need any extra subscriptions, and you can just build this system straight into your existing workflows. And the great thing is when you do that, Hermes has a built-in Twitter search tool that basically can search and find the latest stuff. So basically you have like a fire hose of information, right? Too much information you can handle that's just running 24/7. So what Hermes does is it filters that down and it finds the latest signals of what is the most important things, and it finds 6 signals at a time. And then also it logs that information inside your Obsidian memory galaxy. So if we go back to our memory galaxy, which is Obsidian, and this is the memory system for our agent OS, basically all of these different stars inside the galaxy are memories that are tied together. And this is basically context for our agents to work with. Now, every time we use that tool, it gets automatically plugged inside our AI news section of the Obsidian vault. We can see all the news here. And what does that mean? Well, number one, we don't lose any updates. Number two, the agent gets trained on what's going on inside your industry and it gets more and more context automatically. Number three, when you're generating more news ideas in the future, well, it's going to look at that previous context and then know what to use and what to ignore. And number four, you're just improving your memory layer because the more context you plug into that with relevant stuff like this, the more useful your memory layer is going to become. And so with a combination of Hermes Oracle and the memory galaxy that we've plugged in right here, it's just becoming way more powerful. And again, this only takes like 3 minutes to do a response, and it's running automatically as a scheduled task with Hermes as well. So I've shown you an example of what it came up with, and these are all way more relevant. I've shown you side by side how, for example, with Claude didn't find anything near as useful as this. So this is the difference right here. And yeah, it's great for coming up with content. It's great for finding the latest news in your industry. And it's something that I think a lot of clients would be interested in as well. So here's an example of the Obsidian Vault and what it writes. Everything plugs into your memory system. And that's basically it. Now, you might say, okay, why not just scroll manually and try and do that? Well, the thing is, with this system, you're actually first and you get the latest news ASAP. You could actually schedule this to hourly if you wanted to, or to a few times a day as well. Number two, you actually get the signals, so the links to the news, right? So if we go back to Hermes Oracle, over here, we have the latest news, and we can just click on the link to find the most relevant news to that, right? Pretty useful. And then number four it's one agent doing everything, and it compounds, right? Because everything gets added to your memory vault. So your content radar becomes a searchable archive of everything that's happened in the year, which is pretty amazing in itself. Now, also, the other thing I would say here is that it plugs into a full agent operating system. So this is one tiny piece of our agent OS. And we have, for example, Hermes Jarvis, which we can organize in real time and have a conversation with. We can see all our conversation. We've got the full preview over here. We have, for example, the chat with our different agent profiles with Hermes. We have the talk. We have the studio here as well, where we can generate videos, we can generate AI images, voice notes, etc. We have everything saved into our workspace. We have the memory galaxy that's plugged into Hermes as well. And then we have every single workflow that I work on day to day. I've just plugged into this system as well. Right? Even loop engineering and, for example, our SEO systems auto deploy content to our website. So whatever we need to automate, we've got it inside one system. Whatever AI agents we use, not just Hermes, we have it plugged into one system. If we want to orchestrate multiple different agents at a time, we can use Paperclip, or we can use the AI agent mastermind group chat, or the pipeline where we go from idea to build in literally one click. So this is the power of this stuff. When you build a system, it just gets better and better every day, and we just keep building it up and improving it. And I think that's how you build something absolutely amazing, which is why you want like an agent OS instead of just relying on the terminal or something like that. It's way more customizable. So in terms of what you've learned how to basically use something like Hermes Oracle to stay updated with everything. You've learned how to build that into your memory system so it improves. You learned how to get the latest news in whatever industry you're in, and you also learned how to do that with just a Twitter subscription, so that you don't need to pay per API. Now, if you want to get my full system, I mean, you could build this yourself. If you want to get my full system, you can get the agent operating system inside the AI profit boardroom, and it hands you the Hermes Oracle, which is wired in and running on your own Grok plan. So tomorrow you can just wake up holding the trend instead of chasing it. You also get the full agent OS with the Oracle, Hermes, every other system inside one dashboard. You get the setup, walkthrough done with you step by step. You get 4 weekly coaching calls with daily tutorials and a 30-day roadmap. You get 3,700 members inside there. And if you're thinking this stuff is too technical to set up, don't worry. For example, we had Rick. Rick joined a couple of days ago, and he's already set up his agent OS in 30 minutes. You can see, for example, Rachel is absolutely loving the AI Profit Boardroom community. You can see all the wins and the positivity here. It's just a great group of people having a great time, learning, growing together. You can also connect with me personally too. You can ask me any questions that you want to. You can also customize our whole system and change it however you want. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Now, if you want to grab that system, it's inside the Agent OS section over here. We also add new daily updates and video tutorials based on what's working. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support in real time, and I answer those with personal video tutorials. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls and share your screen, meet the community, ask questions, etc. You can also meet people in your local area from the map, and this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Thanks for watching. Today, we have a brand new update from Hermes Agent. So Hermes Agent can now learn from anything. So you can feed it, for example, like a blog post, you could feed it some of your PDFs, whatever you need to learn it, it can distill it and learn from it into a verifiable, reusable skill. And I'm going to show you exactly how it works. It actually is super easy to use, which I'm absolutely loving. And I'll break it down exactly. I've called this the Learn Anything Engine. And if you're wondering, what does that look like in practice? Let me show you an example here. So what we did over here, and I thought this would not work at all, but it seems really, really smooth. So what we said is /learn. So you just go inside your Hermes chat, you'd say /learn, and then we actually plugged in a guide from my website. So this is a guide on our website about the agent operating system. I wanted to teach Hermes and create a skill around the agent operating system that we've created. And so we went back into the chat here, /learn, that's it. Make sure you update it on the latest version, and then you can plug in the URL. And look at this, like this is crazy, easy, and also powerful. So it says, learned it and saved it for future sessions. What it is, agent operating system is your dashboard and everything else. There's 6 pillars to it. Here's the main surfaces. Here's the setup path and how to connect it. Here's how to do it, etc. And then this is the most important part. So not only did it learn from this, but it also saved it as a skill. So let's say, for example, you were trying to break something down that you don't really understand, or you need to master as a concept. Well, you could easily give that to Hermes, and then it can learn it as a skill and help explain it back to you. The other thing that you could do here is you could actually, for example, if you had like an article and you're like, do you know what, I want to implement this system, but I don't know how to automate it with AI. Well, the great thing about this is you could give it a guide about that particular topic. So you could give Hermes that guide, say /learn, plug in the topic, and then from there it can actually learn as a skill. And you see here it's saved as a skill. So it tells you exactly where it is. And if you want to load it, the skill that we just created, we just do skill /skill agent operating system. And then it's good to go. Right. And that's basically it. But also it will pull in that skill if we mention Agent OS, Mission Control, Memory Galaxy, or the AI Profit Boarding Stack Design. Right. That's how easy it is. And so this is a really powerful system that we can basically use to, number one, learn anything, and number two, to teach Hermes new skills. So basically, with the Learn Anything engine, Hermes can now learn a skill from anything that you show it. That could be a document, it could be a folder, it could be something that you just did, and then it keeps it forever. So you can see here, you could feed in like a folder of code. It could be a document page like I gave it. It could be a job that you just did. It could be notes that you have. And then you use /learn and you reference what you're using. And then it's a skill that's kept together forever. So it's plugged into something called a skill MD, a markdown file that stores a skill, and then you can come back to it and use it whenever you want. And so you can point Hermes at anything, /learn reads it and writes a skill and then keeps it forever. Pretty amazing stuff. And this literally just came out a few hours ago. So if we have a look at this post, this just dropped about 5 hours ago. So it's brand new stuff. Go easy on me if I haven't explained it properly. But this is basically the whole system, and it is super useful because now you can teach your Hermes to learn stuff. And the great thing about this is, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, is like every session, sometimes you'd have to re-explain how you do things. You publish a guide, the agent would do it, but then it would forget the whole recipe the moment we were done. So the next time you have to start from scratch, you have to explain it all over again. You're the only one who remembers how your workflows run sometimes. Now if Hermes can learn, well, you can show it one thing once, you can point it at a workflow and say one word, /learn. It writes itself a skill, a clean, reusable recipe, keeps it, and next time I just say do the thing and it already knows how to do it, which is pretty powerful. And I've seen a lot of people using Hermes like it's a fantastic AI agent. These are all, we've got like so many testimonials from people loving the agent operating system and Hermes agent itself. So I know that if we can all learn it, you can use it too as well. Now, the Learn Anything engine, it works in 5 simple steps. So it learns from anything, you teach it once, it keeps forever, it writes its own recipe, it loads only when needed, and it works everywhere. And this means like you can show it the workflow once and say learn, it writes itself a clean reusable skill. Next time you just say do the thing. You don't need to code. Hermes will offer the skill itself. And the recipe lives inside the agent, not inside your head. And so if you're spending time on a workflow you repeat weekly, or if you're re-explaining it every session, that is a nightmare. But if you just do /learn, you learn it once and you're good to go, right? You can install it in 5 minutes. So it's 5 minute once instead of a few minutes every single time you run it. That's the difference here. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I already use skills from other people or MCP servers, isn't this just the same? These bolt-on tools, those bolt-on like tools the agent can call. But /learn is different because it captures how you do things into a recipe the agent keeps. So your workflows, your steps, the stuff that you typically quality control for, you can't download that anywhere. Only your agent can learn really from watching it from you. And bear in mind, this stuff is so new, it's pretty hard to find documentation or useful notes on this. Whereas if you use /learn, well, it's one command, you give it a source, Hermes does the rest, using the tools it already has, and there's no separate learning engine, no extra setup. So you say learn, Hermes gathers it, it writes a skill, and the skill MD file is saved in one command. And here's an example what this looks inside the terminal if you're using terminal. So you would just say, okay, /learn, the daily win log workflow, and then it just learns it. This is an example of an actual skill that we wrote using this system. I didn't touch a line of it. This is what Hermes created. So inside the skill MD file, it's got the name, the description, the version, what it does, when to use it, the procedure, and the pitfalls to avoid. So if you're wondering, okay, does it actually work in practice? I've shown you an example of that inside the chat here. So yes, it actually does work in practice, and it worked first time round as well, which is amazing and unusual. We also plugged it into Hermes Jarvis as well. So it can learn via Hermes Jarvis too. If you've got for example, if you've got a voice activated agent like me, you can also do the same thing, which is pretty cool too. And so you got the dashboard, you got the command line. You could do this with Hermes Jarvis. You could do this with messaging apps, and you've got one learn agent where it can learn a skill that's used anywhere. So here's what I'd recommend. I mean, it takes about 5 minutes. You can update Hermes, run Hermes update. So you've got the learn command. Then you can open a chat with your agent, point it at a source, type /learn, and then the thing that could be a doc, URL, or folder, or how I just did that. Plain words are fine. You let it write the skill. So Hermes reads the source and authors a clean skill.md file on its own. You approve the write and it's saved. And then you can use it forever, because next time, just ask for the task by name, the skill loads on demand, and your agent already knows how to do it. Few things worth knowing. It uses the tools it already has. So there's no separate engine, no extra installs. You just have to make sure you have the latest version of Hermes. Number 2, you approve the right skill. So the skill file only saves after you save yes, if you've got the approval gate on. I don't have the approval gate on, that's why it works so quickly on mine. But if you have the approval gate on, then it'll ask you, is this okay to install? If you have a clear source, you're going to get a better skill. So if you point it at something specific or root /learn to a stronger model for tricky jobs, just something to know. And skills are also shareable, because you can publish them and install other people's with one command. If you've got a skill MD file that you've created like I do, I could give that to my community. I could share that with people as well, like I've shared inside this guide. You might also say, well, what if it writes a bad skill? Well, you actually see the file before it saves, and you can edit or delete it like any other note. It's just a markdown note. So if a skill's off, you fix one line or run learn again with a clearer source. Nothing's locked in, and a wrong skill can't break anything else. So 3 things may be holding you back. Some people have limited beliefs that hold them back on stuff like this. So the wrong belief here is like some people say, well, teaching an AI skill means writing code or config. No. You just say one word, learn, and describe the thing in plain English. Hermes writes the skill itself. I watched a free local model do it in like 25 seconds. Other people say, well, my agent forgets everything, so why bother? But that's exactly what this fixes, because the learned skill is kept. It stops being the goldfish and starts building muscle memory, so you can teach it once and it knows forever. Other people say, well, I'll wait until the tools are perfect, but an agent that learns gets further ahead every week you use it. Waiting just means a bigger gap between you and the people teaching their agent today. So this compounds, so you want to start using it now. So what did you learn today? You learned how to stop re-explaining. You teach your workflow once, the agent keeps the recipe for good. You stopped writing skill files, one word, learn, and Hermes authors the skill itself. You can learn from anything, a doc, a folder, a job you just did, or pasted notes. You can use it everywhere. So that could be a dashboard command line, could be Hermes Jarvis, like voice agents. And then it could be, for example, the messaging inside the agent operating system. And you start improving daily. This is a system where every skill you teach makes your agent more capable for good. So the way that I would look at this is stop re-explaining yourself to a tool and just teach it once with this whole system. And you could, teach your agent its first skill tonight. You've seen it run, one word, a real skill kept forever. If you want Hermes set up to learn from your workflow step by step, we've got Hermes, Claude, GLM, and more plugged into one dashboard inside the AI Profit Boardroom agent operating system. So we actually have a full tutorial on how to use /learn to turn your daily workflows into skills your agent keeps. You get a 30-day roadmap, daily tutorials, and 4 weekly coaching calls a week, and a room of 3,700 builders doing this every day with someone online 24/7, right? So if you want to get this full setup, with the chat, you can switch between profiles. We have the talk mode. We have Hermes Jarvis, which is voice activated and can actually build stuff, as you can see right here. We have Hermes Oracle that can take the latest news, create social media content about it, and also publish articles directly to WordPress using the same system. We can generate images, videos, voice notes, etc. with Hermes Jarvis. We even have a Kanban section here where we can manage the Kanban boards and orchestrate our agents together. And this is all inside the agent operating system from the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you want to get this, link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. If you go to the classroom and then go to new daily updates, you'll find the agent operating system right here with the whole setup. You can see it's updated daily, plus you get a zip file to quickly install it. And also, every time there's something new or useful that drops, we add a new tutorial on it, as you can see. So every time something useful comes out, we create a video tutorial, full step-by-step guide. Plus, you can connect with the community. I answer all the questions inside the community with video tutorials every single day. There's always people online 24/7, which means you can get help and support whenever you need it. You can also get all of my best trainings inside the classroom. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls. We have 4 per week, so you can ask any questions in real time. And then also inside the map, you can meet people in your local area who are building with AI agents like you. So see inside there. Cheers for watching. So there's a brand new update from Hermes Agent, which is computer use, and you can now use computer use on Windows and Linux as well. And also, there's been improvements on the Mac OS. So if you're not sure what this is, basically this means that Hermes Agent can now control your computer. Let me show you an example. So we got Hermes Jarvis over here inside our agent operating system. And for example, if we switch on real time and we'll say, hey, can you open up Obsidian for me? Boom. Look at that. It literally opens up Obsidian. Hey, can you open up juliangoldie.com? Boom shakalaka, it opens up juliangoldie.com. And then we're going to switch that off. And what we can also do is switch over here to agent mode. Now, agent mode is pretty powerful because now we can actually have it improving and building stuff directly inside our computer. So not only can we get Hermes Jarvis to, for example, open websites, control our computer, open up Obsidian, whatever, we can also have this working in the background, working on tasks with agent mode inside Hermes Jarvis as well. So if we say, hey, can you open up notes and just write a quick note saying hello? Look at that. It just opens it up instantly. Pretty crazy stuff. Also, this can speak to us as well, and it's pretty powerful. So let me explain exactly how it works in a second, and then just to show you as well that it can like talk back and that sort of thing. If we switch on real time here, and we've got the sound on now. Hey, are you there? How's it going?
Quite well, sir. Ever ready to assist you. How may I be of service today?
Can you open up Google for me?
Google is now open, sir.
So we can see how that works basically. And if you're wondering, okay, how does this whole system loop around? How do you get Hermes Agent to control your computer like this? Let me walk you through the whole system. And this is using something I call the Hermes Takeover Engine. Essentially, what you can do is you can get Hermes now to click and type on your computer in the background with its own cursor. Yours doesn't move. So, for example, when we created that note before that says hello, it doesn't interfere with what you're doing on screen. So you can work on something at the same time and it will just work in the background. And this just landed on Windows and Linux too, which is pretty awesome. So you can say, okay, you can say, do this for me. It reads the screen, it clicks and types, it does it in the background, and everything gets done. And then you can keep typing or doing whatever you're doing whilst it's working on all that other stuff. Now, you might be worried here, like, wow, it can take over my screen. These AI agents can take over my screen. Like, won't this lock me out or something like that? Well, that's really the whole point of this one is it doesn't. It works in the background. So your real mouse doesn't actually move. Your windows don't jump to the front. Your desktops don't switch. Your agent is just working in the background with this system. This really changes everything. So the way this works is in 5 steps with the Hermes takeover engine. So it's a quiet takeover, right? It's driving your desktop in the background. Your cursor stays where it is. Your windows stay put. Nothing pops up in the front. You and the agent just work on the same machine at the same time. You can hand it any OS. So Mac, Windows, and now Linux, whatever you run, Hermes can click and type on it. Same simple commands, same background magic. And we have 2 options. So you can have ultra fast inside Hermes Jarvis, or you can have agent mode. Agent mode can do a lot more. It's a lot more powerful in the background. Auto is just like super fast, like literally real time as you saw before. And then it can do basic things as well with this. So it depends, what you're automating with computer use and how powerful you want it to be. Now, you can do this with any brain you want, which means, for example, you could plug in, we've got local models, we've got free APIs, we have OAuth, like for example, Grok working with Hermes Jarvis. Whatever you want to work with this, you can have it working. And there's also a stop button whenever we want as well. So we can click this on and off if we want to, or we can refresh a page. And it's pretty powerful stuff. And so how this works is you've got like 2 people operating the same machine. You, whatever you're doing, and also Hermes that's working in the background. And both are happening at once. And it's hands-free when you use something like this. So this is now available on Windows and Linux as well. So Mac OS, Windows, Linux, they all work through one Hermes, and they can all click and work in the background, which is pretty amazing. So, some people say, you only can do this on Mac. No, you can do it on everything now because of this new update that's just dropped today. And the cool thing about this is like any AI can drive this. So most computer use tools only work with one model, but Hermes doesn't care which AI you bring. So it could be Claude, it could be GPT, it could be Gemini, it could be a free API as long as it's got vision. You can use the one you already have set up, or you could use a free API. So you don't need to pay for like Claude or something like that to do this. And then there's one command to switch it on, which you can see here. So you just use Hermes computer use install, and then you can go from there. Other people say, well, I'm not technical. Is this going to be a nightmare to set up? So it's literally like 3 commands inside your terminal or inside Hermes directly. It's pretty chill to use. Bear in mind, like our actual agent operating system where we've built in Hermes Jarvis, which is kind of like a customized version of this, which, is voice activated and everything else. Like people have joined our AI Profit Boredom community, got the agent OS set up, and set this up within like 30 minutes. So if they can do it and I'm non-technical and I can do it, then you can do it too. So if you want Hermes computer use wired into a full agent operating system where you have Hermes, you can have a live chat with it here. You can jump inside the studio, generate images, videos, voice. You can have a workspace. We even got goal mode and all sorts of crazy stuff here. Like, for example, we have a loop engine system for agent loops with Hermes. And we also have a memory system here where basically all of our memories are visualized inside the galaxy. Plus, you get 4 coaching calls a week, and I do daily tutorials and answer your questions daily as well inside there. You can get that all inside the AI Profit Boardroom with the agent operating system. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what if this tries to do something crazy on my computer as well? What about that? Well, basically, it will actually ask before it touches anything. So handing your computer to an AI sounds pretty scary, but it actually isn't, because every click or keystroke stops at a wall. Your yes. And anything that might be destructive, for example, like deleting or editing a file, the agent will wait for your approval and then it will act, which is pretty good. So if you look at the old way, you got hours of clicking, repetitive clicking, renaming, copying and pasting. Sometimes you would let a tool grab your mouse, like an AI computer use tool, but it would freeze you out until it's finished. Claude computer use does that. It's quite annoying. And you kind of watch your mouse move around the screen whilst you have to wait for it to finish. And sometimes like computer use is super slow, so it's not that powerful when you're using Claude. So if you're using, for example, Claude computer use, well, number one, you can't operate your screen at the same time. And number two, it gets a lot of stuff wrong. Whereas with this setup, it actually works as you've seen, and it's super smooth as you've seen today as well. So you can just tell Hermes to task once in plain words. It clicks and types in the background. Your mouse never moves. Your windows don't jump. And it runs on Mac, Windows, or Linux, and any model can drive it, even a free local one as well. Some people say, well, I tried a computer use tool before and it was useless. Same, most of them are. Right? The thing that made them useless was usually because it just takes over your screen, and also it was super slow, whereas as you've seen today, like it works smoothly on all the demos and it's pretty powerful stuff. So some people say, well, letting an AI control my computer, it sounds a bit crazy, but it asks before it does anything that could be, slightly destructive, like deleting a file, that sort of thing. Other people say, well, I'll wait until this stuff is more mature. But honestly, if you're early, you one move ahead. So you should start learning it right now whilst you've got the head start on everyone else. And other people say, well, this is only for coders and techies. Actually, no, you can set it up in 3 words from the terminal, as I've mentioned before. And also, the great thing about this is that I'm non-technical, I've tested it, and it works. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So what have you learned today? You learned how to stop clicking. You learned how to keep working whilst computer use runs in the background. You learned how to use this even if you're not on a Mac because it works on Windows and Linux. You stopped being locked into one single model. You stayed in control because it asks before it acts. And you stopped having to pay for models because you can just use a free local model, right? And the agent finally has hands, and it's working in the background. So if you want to test this out, if you want Hermes computer use actually doing things for you, not just another tool that you test once, you can grab Hermes Jarvis with the agent operating system inside the AI Profit Boardroom. It turns Hermes, Claude, OpenClaw into one system with shared memory, so the agent driving your screen already understands you as well. I mean, Hermes Jarvis is pretty powerful. Like we can see everything that was spoken with it about before. It's got previews of everything that we've built. It's got a workspace where we can actually see everything that we've created previously. And we can also jump inside the studio And this is all voice activated and it works in real time, which is crazy stuff. So if you want to get that, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support. If you want the stuff that I've shown you today, that's inside the Agent OS system, as you can see. And we update this daily with a new video tutorial, a zip file, and everything else. You also get new updates as things come out, which is super useful as well. And if you're a complete beginner at this stuff, you can go from beginner to expert inside this training in the classroom. You also get 4 weekly coaching calls. So if you need to jump on a Zoom call, ask questions, share your screen, speak to someone, you can do that on 4 coaching calls per week. Inside the map, you can meet people locally in your area who are building with AI agents like you. And we've already got 187 pages of testimonials and wins from people getting awesome results with this stuff. So if you want to join us, link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Thanks for watching. Hermes Jarvis is blowing my mind. This is a voice-activated version of Jarvis that is really, really fast. So let's just open this up. Hey, you there, Jarvis, mate? How's it going?
Very well indeed, sir. Ready to assist you with anything you need today.
Open up Obsidian for me.
Opening Obsidian now, sir.
Open up Google for me.
Google is up and running, sir.
What do you think we should work on today?
Might I suggest refining the next YouTube title formula?
Stop.
Or understood, sir. We'll leave it there for now.
Carry on.
Very well, sir. Perhaps we could
Stop.
refine... Of course, sir. Standing by.
Teach me some Japanese.
Certainly, sir. Let's start with something simple. Konnichiwa means good afternoon or hello.
Stop.
Certainly. No trouble at all, sir. Ready whenever you are.
Can you build a snake game for me?
A snake game, sir. An intriguing little challenge. I can certainly help guide you through that or draft some code. Where shall we begin?
Can you build out a snake game in real time for me, please, mate?
I can certainly guide you through building it step by step, sir. Let's start with the basics.
Actually,
set-
stop there.
Understood, sir. We'll hold off for now.
Give me a daily briefing.
Certainly, sir. Today is the 20th of June, 2026. Your YouTube channel's views are strong, and we've got the OpenClaw ecosystem at your fingertips. Anything particular you'd like to focus on today? Good morning, sir. The day is light on meetings, but rich in housekeeping. The Vault LLM Wiki restructure and your atomic note layer await, alongside a fleet of SEO keyword sets you've been circling. Before any video goes out, the transcripts need attention. Claude AI, Anthropic, and Claude Code have all been mangled, and your export is still stamped with the Buddhist calendar, which rather upsets date sorting. On the wires, 60% of US consumers now find AI in brand messaging a turnoff. Worth bearing in mind before your next headline, sir.
So I'm just going to switch off real time there, but you can basically see that we can talk to Hermes Agent. We can get it to open stuff up. It's the fastest I've ever seen computer use, and this is something that we've just built in and improved and worked on over and over again. I just show you this to inspire you, and also to show you like having a really powerful voice agent, like you can see, is really, really cool. So you can see if we scroll down here, number 1, we've got all the conversation history of everything we've done. Number 2, it responds in real time. I can stop it anytime, and I can also ask it to open stuff up. Like if we say, for example, open up Google, it just opens up like really, really quickly. And then you can see everything that we've built over here as well. So we've got all this stuff that we've built with Hermes Jarvis, and we can see that we've created stuff with voice activation like so, which is pretty wild. And we can also open that stuff up later too. So if we click on this, for example, we can open it up just as a preview, and then we can open it up in full as well. And the cool thing about this is, usually when you're using voice agents, it's pretty hard to find like the history of what you've created and come back to it. Whereas inside this agent operating system that we've built, you can just get Hermes Jarvis ready to go. We've also kind of tried to give it that butler vibe as well when we're speaking to it. We used ChatGPT real time, which seems to be like the fastest for responding to us. And the great thing is like we can switch on real time on or off. We can have that inside wall mode as well. And also before I show you wall mode, look at this. So what we can see here is it basically has a look at my Obsidian memory. It looks at the suggested focus, what's open and to do, the notes that we've recently touched, what we've recently worked on, It tells me, it knows like the day and everything like that. And then also it's got these open action items. Now, if we click on one of those, we can actually go straight to Obsidian to see the open action items. So it's all plugged into my memory and my context. And if you're wondering how do we set that up, we have a memory galaxy here. Now, the great thing about this is, number one, it's got a lot of context on me. And that's one of the other issues with voice is like, you either have a voice agent that doesn't know a lot about you, or you have a voice agent that knows a lot about you, but it's really, really slow. And we've tried to create a really fast version of that. And this is by far the fastest I've ever seen. It's literally real time. And then any conversations that we have with Hermes as well, they get logged inside our Obsidian memory. So you can see those right here, 3 minutes ago, 23 minutes ago. I don't have to touch those. They just get automatically logged, which is great because then the next time we use Hermes, it's going to be smarter. It's going to have more context. It's going to understand us. And also you can see here, it uses a combination. It understands like inside our memory system, like here's my protein target. Here's how many steps I target each day. Here's what I'm working on. So it blends personal and business together inside the system. We can go straight through to any of these memories as you've seen already with Obsidian, which is pretty cool. Then we've got the themes. So in terms of like what we're working on, what we've recently worked on. So it actually knows the projects we've worked on recently, which blows my mind. So for example, if you see here, it's got like keywords, agent OS guide. Why is it think that? Because we've set up this website recently that we literally just updated today with all these guides on everything that I'm working on. And so like it's creating this universe where it understands me. And I think this is the future of where everything's going, because if you look at agents, the easier they can be. So for example, if you can just talk to it kind of like Alexa or Siri, and you can just have a quick chat with it and it responds faster. I mean, literally, this is faster than my Alexa that I have at home, which is kind of embarrassing. But yeah, this is way faster, way easier to use, way more agentic, way more powerful, and we've built it ourselves. So I show this just to inspire you, but also to show you like, okay, this stuff is really, really powerful. I mean, that's a fantastic use case. Now, also what we can do here is we can plug it in warp mode. What happens in warm mode, as you can see here, is that it has our daily briefing. We can also click on weekly. We can see the history of previous briefings as well, like so. We can close that if we want to. And then we can see the full history. And also we can have this real time sat in the background. So what that means, for example, is I could have like 3 monitors. This could be on one monitor, just sitting on the wall listening to me. And then whilst I'm doing something else, I can speak to Hermes and get it working on different things and pulling in the context. So it absolutely blows my mind. And people say, like, what's the point of these agents? What's the use case? How do you actually use them in reality? Well, you can see here, it's a voice-powered AI agent that can control your computer, that can do tasks for you, that can give you daily briefings, that can sit in the background kind of like Alexa, but it's way more powerful, that you can build stuff with, as I showed you inside the preview, that responds in real time, that can even, for example, like teach you languages and that sort of thing, and also understands every single memory to you, to the point that you've probably forgotten a lot of the memory. I mean, personally, I've forgotten a lot of the memories inside here, but this system is fully set up so that it knows everything about me better than I know myself. Like, I don't remember the conversation I had 5 minutes ago. Genuinely, I don't remember every single line, but my Obsidian memory system and Hermes Jarvis does. And so that's the power of this stuff. It's like, you know, it's something where you can build a system. I literally made this from scratch. And also some people say, well, why don't you use Hermes Desktop or Hermes Terminal? But you can't organize the interface like this, right? This is absolutely mind-blowing when you think about it. This is way more customized and personalized. And the way that I would look at this is like, what are you spending your time on? And then how can you automate that? So like one of my next steps for this project is to basically automate my SEO. So I'll be able to go into Hermes Jarvis and say, hey, here's the keywords that I'm focused on. Can you just look at my Obsidian memory, pull in my case studies and recent information, and then use that to publish this to my websites? And I think with that sort of system, like you could automate your SEO, you could automate, you could create videos with AI, you could build your memory and everything else, and you could make this way more powerful. So this is something where if you saw like the previous tutorials a few months ago, this was super basic, but now it's just getting better and better and better. So I just say it to inspire you. We've also built inside the Hermes Agent operating system, like the chat, the talk, the Hermes Jarvis, of course, the studio where we can generate images, videos, voice notes, etc. We've got a workspace where everything we've built with each individual model is inside the system too, as you can see. So Grok build, GLM 5.2, Kimmy K217. And then we've also got like all of the stuff that I work on day to day. So for example, like loop engineering with Hermes, we're plugged in here. SEO, video agents, music agents, even Fusion, which fuses 5 different models together to get a better answer in frontier level technology. All of this is just built in one system. So I've got it live, ready to go, and I could just open it up and automate whatever I want, whenever I want. So if you haven't already checked this out, feel free to get it. I mean, you could build this yourself. It's taken me a lot of time and a lot of effort to build this out. You could make it yourself, and that's kind of fun to do. But if you want to get my setup, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you go to the Agent OS system right here, we update this daily. We'll add a new version today. We updated it yesterday already. You get video tutorial, the full guide, the zip file, and every new release that comes out, which we update daily, you'll get inside here. Now, you can also ask questions inside the community. I answer these personally with video tutorials very quickly. So you can see, for example, here, Dan asked a question 4 hours ago about Notebook LM with the Agent OS. We already replied to him and gave him the full details here. So if you want quick answers, if you want an amazing community, if you want the help and support, and also my personal advice, you can get that inside here. We also add new daily tutorials and new lessons, as you can see. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls, get help and support in real time, share your screen. Inside the map, you can meet people locally who are building with AI agents like Hermes and all this other stuff. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the aiprofitboardroom.com. Thanks for watching. So this is a powerful mission control center that you can use to control your agents to get anything done and automate almost anything. So as an example of that, we check out some examples of what we've built here. We can preview everything that we've created. We can create tools. We can create even like flashcard apps, etc. We can even build out tools for my agency. And not only that, but we can also generate videos. And Hermes has a free agent for creating videos built directly inside its skill set. Now, one of the biggest differences here is like if you're using Hermes normally, really Hermes is just a messenger, right? It's literally just a messenger. It's very difficult to control if you don't have a good setup. And the problem is as well that you can't really see what you've created previously. So let me show you an example of this. If we go into our terminal here, this is how you would typically handle your Hermes agent. This is what most people look at. Now, if you look at the screen, it's not easy to manage. It's not easy to see what you've created. It's not easy to control. And it's not easy to sort of showcase and preview what you've previously built with Hermes agent. Now let's compare that to the system we've got over here, which is the Agentic OS. And you can see a huge difference between everything, right? You can see how we can preview everything inside the chat. We can see what we've created here. We can see how Hermes has responded to us and what we've built previously. We can even connect MCPs in one single click. And we've got this amazing control room where we can actually see what we've built, what we've connected the tools to, what skills we've got plugged into our system, and what plugins and everything else. Now, that's not just it. So, for example, inside this operating system, we also have a Kanban board here where you can assign tasks and then your team of agents can get it done. So if I say, okay, build a keyword strategy, I can just plug in a mission inside the task section here and it will assign it to different agents and then go off and implement everything, right? And you see how it's got this beautiful UI dashboard for pretty much everything that we've built. We've even got different assets that we've connected Notebook LM to, and then we can operate Notebook LM directly with Hermes Agent and preview it inside this beautiful UI. So if you're using Hermes Agent, this is the most powerful way to really build it in. Now, the reason that I recommend having an agent operating system like this is that most operators in 2026 are running AI like it's 2024. You know, they have a tab open for Claude, a tab open for ChatGPT, a terminal for Hermes, another tab for OpenClaw, and files scattered across Finder with no memory shared between any of it. Now, if you compare that side by side with the Agent OS system, it's a totally different experience and one that makes using all of your AI agents 10 times more powerful. I mean, again, for example, if we want to, for example, have a look at what we've built with OpenClaw even, we can pull in all of our agents on the side here and just check and preview everything, which is pretty awesome. So this was like a beautiful UI that we built previously. We've got a main workspace with our SoulMD files, all of our videos that we've created, everything set up right here. With even, and this is what I really like about this setup, is like if you wanted to create a video with Hermes Agent using some of the skills that you've trained it on, well, inside the terminal will be, number one, difficult to remember what skills you've created and therefore call them back. And number two, difficult to organize and preview what you've built, right? Very difficult to really see and visualize what you've created. Whereas, for example, inside the mission control in Agent OS, we can go inside here, type a prompt, click create, and it will actually go off and start creating a video for us. So here's some examples of different videos that we've built using this whole system. And we can preview it, we can check what we've created, we can watch it back. We have everything set up inside a beautiful UI. So this is one of the biggest differences. The other thing that I would say here is like, you really need a good system for managing your AI agent, simply because if you look, we've got a full memory set up as a knowledge graph that we can preview inside our system. Now, if we go to OpenClaw, we go to Hermes Agent, we can use that to build better things in the future. Whereas, for example, if you're using Hermes Agent inside the chat here, you don't really have that visual element to your memories. You can't really see what you've created. You can't see and look back at what you've built. And the other thing that I like as well is that with the mission control setup here, we can view our agents, we can see what the status of all of them is. And if we build something with Hermes, we can then use that and adapt it inside OpenClaw. And so they all link together. Now we've also got the details on our Obsidian vault here. And if we go to the recent section, you can see that this is automatically synced, and we can see our memories inside the setup too. So everything is loaded, everything is ready to go. We can even use Claude code for free inside this setup too. You know, that can generate images, it can create videos as well using this whole setup. So really powerful system. Now, if you compare the old way versus the new way, you know, the old way was having everything in one terminal, you know, 4 different tabs, 4 different terminals, etc. And then you've got every agent just starting cold. Like 20% of every prompt is you just re-explaining your context. Additionally, everything that you create, if you're doing inside the terminal here, everything you create just kind of disappears, right? The stuff that I've created inside the terminal with Hermes Agent, I just can't preview anymore. I can't see anymore. And that's simply because it's very difficult to manage everything. Like, where are all your files? Where are all the apps you built? And so how do you recollect it? You can't, right? Also, the other thing I would say here is there's no persistent memory history across everything. So if I go into ChatGPT or I go into Claude in a different tab, well, how do I have the memory connected? It's very difficult to do that. Whereas if you have an agent operating system that's running locally, it's also connected locally to your memory systems that help you build and automate anything as well. The other thing I would say here is this is a constantly evolving system. So, for example, if you have a look at everything that we've built here, we just add and layer new things in. So, for example, if you look at Hermes, Minimax M3 just came out very recently. We plugged it into this system within hours of the announcement. And I can do that very quickly. And so you can adapt and evolve your agent operating system based on what you want to have. So for example, if I do a lot of SEO, I'm going to add an SEO system inside here, which you can see right here, right? If I do a lot of video, great, let's create a video agent. And so you can add in new workflows and new systems and new setups. And the cool thing about this is you can share it with a community. You can share what you've built. You can have different customizations inside your own agent operating system and just really make it your own, which we like as well. You know, you can customize everything. And that's something we've done with loads of people inside my communities, just to help them really like set up their own sort of custom AI dashboard that automates every single element of all of their workflows. The other thing I like here too is like if we, for example, see the anti-gravity CLI comes out, for sure we're going to set that up inside the agent operating system too. And then we can plug in our goals. We can add a daily journal in here. We can have the Kanban board orchestrating all of our agents together. And we have a build guide here too. So I can look back and reflect on this in terms of how have I built everything out together, which is great. Also, this kind of sync 2 ways. So if you look at Hermes Agent, for example, when we're using this, we can switch between different modes, right? So we can use goal mode, which allows Hermes Agent to run for hours autonomously without us. We can also use the chat. We can have a look through the workspace. We've got the MCPs in the control room, right? And so if there's any sort of element or new layer that comes out to Hermes Agent, like for example, last week they brought out the MCP connection where you can easily install MCPs, we can just set that up in hours. So that's what I love about this whole system. Whereas, for example, you know, the old way with 8 tabs open and no memory. Wow. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Now, when you're doing an agent operating system like this one, basically the cool thing about this too is like you've got one dashboard and every agent connects inside one sidebar. So we've got all of our agents here. Additionally, we've got the Obsidian memory layer. So every agent reads your business, your clients, your voice every session. Then you've got the workspace tab where you can view everything that you've previously created. And you've also got persistent history per agent. So for example, if we go inside the chat here, we can scroll up and see everything that we've created previously, which is awesome. And you can also plug in a free API into something like this. So for example, our alpha on OpenRouter is a free API. You can plug it in. Minimax with Olama in the cloud is free up to certain token limits as well, which is pretty cool. And then you can actually change different agents depending on what you're doing. The result is you just have an agent operating system that gets smarter every day you use it. And that's the power of all of this stuff. So that's basically the power of an agent operating system, why Hermes Agent OS is so powerful, how to use it, how to set it up, the benefits, why it's so much better. Literally, you're going to get 10 times more out of your agents by doing something like this instead of relying on the old way. If you want to get my setup, you can get it inside the AI profit board. And if you go to the classroom here, we've got the full setup tutorial, the video guide step by step. We've also got the files that you can load as a zip file to install this. You can also ask questions inside the community daily. And with the community, what we actually do is we create video tutorials for you based on the new stuff that comes out. And additionally, you can jump on weekly coaching calls. You get 4 coaching calls a week where you can ask questions, get help and support in real time. Inside the map, you can actually meet people in your local city who are using AI agents like you. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description, or just go to the aiprofitboarding.com to get access to it. Thanks for watching. This new agent operating system for Hermes is absolutely wild. I'm going to show you exactly what I built, but this is basically what you need with your Hermes agent if you really want to get the full power of it. And the reason that I say that is because the way that I see people using AI agents, and you might have experienced this yourself, is like nobody knows the actual use case. Nobody knows why they're using it because they don't have a good system to manage their Hermes agent or any sort of agent in general. And the problem with that is they don't really get the most out of it. Now, bear in mind, like this is the most powerful technology we've probably ever had as human beings, right? And it's totally changing the face of the planet. But the biggest issue is nobody really understands it. And the reason for that is if you're using Hermes Agent, let me explain. If you're using Hermes Agent normally, you're going to be using Hermes inside the terminal like so. And then you've got this terminal window and you're just operating on a single chat basis. You plug in a prompt here, you get something back, but that's all. And that really is just a glorified ChatGPT if you're using Hermes Agent. There's no point you even using Hermes Agent at that point. You're just wasting your time. Now, what I think, and this is what's worked for me and totally changed everything in terms of the way I manage my AI agents, is having one dashboard, one mission control with all your agents built in. And every time something new comes out that's actually useful with, for example, Hermes, you can plug it in. Let me show you an example here. For example, Minimax M3 comes out, probably the most autonomous agentic model that's ever been released. It can run for 24 hours on its own. So what do we build in? We build in a goals mode into our agent operating system. We plug in a goal and then it can go off for 12 hours, 24 hours. I can go to sleep, come back, and it's getting work done. Plus it's all saved inside my workspace. This is another powerful use case for an agent operating system, is that you can actually save everything in one place and preview everything that you've created. So here's some examples of what we've built, right? And you see the quality of the websites as well. It looks super nice. You can even, for example, do like trailers, voiceovers, podcasts, videos, and everything is in one place. Now, tell me, how are you going to find that if you're using the terminal? You're not, right? Now, you might say, okay, Julian, Hermes Desktop has just come out. Let's do that instead. But the thing is, you're going to have the same problem, which is where are your other agents? Where's your team? Where's Claude? And also, how do you preview your artifacts? So as an example of this, what are you looking at here? How's it going to help you? So for example, if we click on this markdown file that we've created, we can't really preview it inside the app, right? You're not going to get a full preview. It's not going to help you. You can't really see any images you've previously created in Hermes Desktop unless you start creating them in the future, right? Whereas, for example, you compare that to an agent operating system, and it's just a mission control. You are the captain of the ship. You are the one managing everything, keeping everything in one place, and you do it in a beautiful design that you can custom make anytime you want. That's the thing. I have made this. This is something that I've built from scratch, and it's customized exactly how I want it to be. The reason it looks like this is because I've decided it looks like this, right? And it's the same for you. You, as a business owner, probably one of the reasons you got into business is because you want control and also you want freedom. You're not going to get that if you're using the terminal, right? Unless you're a coder, and then maybe you have a bit more freedom. You have some skills and some chops with Hermes Agent that you can use inside the terminal. But most of the time, 99% of the time, this is going to be something that gives you way more power. That's going to make you feel way more in control of your agents. That's going to help you get the most out of them, right? And the other thing I would say here as well is that if you're using Hermes directly inside the desktop, quite a lot of the things that should be working aren't working. I'll give you an example. So if we want to do voice mode here, we have to allow a microphone. but there's no option to allow my microphone, right? So how do I do it? I have to figure it out and spend 20 minutes Googling it or going inside ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Whereas, for example, if I go inside Hermes on my agent operating system, I can just click this button, boom shakalaka, we can start having a conversation. How are you today, Hermes?
Ah, boom, shakalaka, right back at you. I'm great. Thanks for asking. Ready to chat whenever you are.
You see the difference right there? That is what we're talking about. Now, also, one of the big things that I would say is like, whether it's with Hermes, whether it's with Claude, whether it's with OpenClaw, you can switch between them. You can create and organize things like you see here. You can add new features in and functionality. But also, the reason that I'd recommend organizing your agents with an operating system is that you can add new features. So Claude just dropped this new feature called Ant CLI, and it came out about 5 hours ago. And guess what we did? We plugged it straight in as a CLI into the agent operating system that we have. And the great thing about that is that it makes it 10 times easier to see and organize and add new things in. So we can take advantage of that new system. Whereas, for example, if I was trying to figure out Ant CLI on my own, what a nightmare that would be, because I'd have to look at the update here, I'd scroll down the page, looking at all the demo videos, a bit overwhelmed, and then I click on the API documentation. And if you're not a coder, tell me how you're going to understand that. Tell me how you're going to use that, right? It's going to be very difficult and very time consuming. It's the same with news research. Like when they released, for example, Hermes with MCPs in the MCP catalog, most people didn't use that because they didn't understand how to use it. Whereas, for example, if you plug it into an agent operating system, and this is a beautiful thing about CLIs and also stuff like Hermes with the open source projects, is you're like, this sounds cool. I don't know how to use it, but let's plug it into the agent operating system so that I actually can use it in a very quick way. Let's say something comes out, 10 minutes later, boom, you can plug it in. And so this is why I recommend using Hermes with an agent operating system, and also how powerful this is. This stuff is crazy, right? The other thing that I would say here is like, if you've got, for example, lots of stuff going on, which I'm sure you probably do, then you probably want a memory system, right? Now, how do you get a good memory system set up? We have an Obsidian vault, which you can see here. All of these are different things about me and different notes and that sort of thing. So you can see that we can plug in and look at these memories and everything that I've created. And then my AI agents can plug in the dots and use those to get good information. So if we go back over here, you can see, for example, we have all of the memories inside our vault that my AI agents can pull from. Why is that useful? It's useful because it helps my Hermes agent take that information, understand how it can apply all of that context, and then also it saves me time and energy because I don't have to re-explain myself about 100 times, which I normally do if I'm having to go into Claude or ChatGPT and give it context. So for memory, for context, for UI, for speed of use, for efficiency, and also just for breaking super technical stuff down and turning it into something that's actually useful, basically being the bridge between new updates and actually implementing those updates, I would recommend an agent operating system. The other cool thing I like is just in general being able to switch between the sessions and the skills and the plugins to seeing everything. And then the final thing I would say, and this is particularly important for Hermes agent, is that having an agent operating system with a Kanban you can control is great. If you wanted to use a Kanban normally, let me show you how to do that. So you'd have to go into Hermes News Research and look through this tutorial, which is, again, I think in the modern age, most people are not reading blog posts. Most people are not going to spend an hour trying to understand all the terminal commands and everything else. So how do you condense that into something you can actually use? How do you take this technical information and make it implementable? What you can do is you just, for example, set something like this up, where it's like, okay, I just have to type something in and then we get it running, right? So I type in build an AI SEO keyword research strategy, boom, we have that built in. That's what you want. That's how easy this stuff can be if you have the right systems in place. And that's the final thing that I would say is you don't want an agent. Agents come and go, right? You don't want an API. APIs come and go. You don't want a new model. Models come and go. What you want is a system. You want a system where you can organize everything. And this is something I've learned from running my own business, is like when you've got, I'll give you an example. So if you look at Google and the way that Google has become so successful as a company, it's because they have amazing systems. The people, they come and go, right? The CEOs and the directors and the teams and the amazing talent that they actually hire, they will come and go over the years. But the system, aka, for example, just going into Google, this system has been there since day one, and it will be there for probably the rest of the history of Google, right? And so why is that? It's because you need a system. And that's how powerful agent operating systems are. That's why they're so useful. If Claude Mythos comes out next month, no problem. We plug it in. If Hermes Agent releases version 1 instead of V0.15, no problem, you plug it in. So everything is interchangeable, and that's why you want it as well. And then also you're going to have a positive feedback loop. Whereas, for example, you test some of this stuff out and you're like, there's something here that I don't like. No problem. Let's tweak it, make it better for the next time. Right? So you can have this positive feedback loop where the more you try it, the better it gets because you're giving it more feedback on how to improve it. And so it gets better and better. It's this positive cycle that goes up. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about building an agent operating system, you can actually grab mine from the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. So you have the agent operating system right here. We have a video tutorial on how to use it. And not just that, we have updated daily new zip files for all the new features that we build in. So every time we build it in, we're at the new last updated date. We give you a video tutorial on how to use it. We have a community that's building with this stuff, and you can get the zip file right here. And the one thing I would say about this is that some people are going to look at all of this and think it's too difficult for me, too technical for me. It's not. If you can message a friend, you can use AI agents. If you can text a friend, then you can build in mission control, or you can just grab mine and install it. But you can see, for example, Mike, he's from the AI Profit Boardroom. He's got his mission control running, and he said it's absolutely amazing, right? You can see, for example, Ravit as well, built out an agent operating system, integrated it with NA10, and now he just has it command and it builds the automations for them, right? Same for David. David built out a beautiful agent operating system too. My point here is that anyone can do this. I've seen so many people who've never touched AI get amazing results with AI when they have the right systems in place. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get the system, get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. We have an amazing community of 3,300 business owners where you can ask questions, get help and support, etc. Inside the classroom, you can get all of my best new tutorials. So we actually update this daily with new trainings. As you can see, every time something new comes out that's actually useful, we will break it down into a full step-by-step guide. As you can see, with a 30-day roadmap, 100 prompts for implementing it in a video tutorial. Plus, you can connect with me personally. We have weekly coaching calls. We have 4 weekly coaching calls where you can jump on a call, ask questions in real time, get help and support, meet other cool people as well. Inside the map, you can actually connect with people in your local city who are building AI agents like you. So you can see that across every major city, we have people all over the world building out, and you can connect with them personally too. And you can get that all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Thanks for watching. See you inside there. Cheers. Bye-bye. Today, we have a brand new update from Hermes Agent. They've released Hermes Desktop. Now, how does that compare to having an agent operating system? Which one should you pick? Should you go with a Hermes Desktop app, or is it better to have a full agent operating system for your team of agents? Let's get into it. I'm going to compare them side by side today and see how they perform. This is my agent operating system. You might have built your own mission control for AI agents before, and you're like, okay, Hermes have just released this new desktop app. Do I need to switch? Do I need to keep an agent operating system? Which one is the best for managing agents? Let me get straight into it and show you the exact difference here and what it means. Now, just to explain this very clearly, a Hermes desktop app, the new one that just came out, is like the official desktop app from Hermes, where you can plug in your AI agent and start using it. So you can see, for example, we can use this right here. We've got our artifacts and what we've created, and this is an app that works on our desktop. And then, of course, you've got an agent operating system. Now, if you're not sure what an agent operating system is, essentially, this is having a full command center of AI agents working together, right? So, for example, you got Claude, you got OpenClaw, you got Hermes, you got Gemini, and in the same way that you'd have a desktop app, you've also got all of your multiple agents. So it's not just limited to Hermes. So which one is the best? The first thing that I would say is if you run multiple agents, Hermes desktop application isn't going to be that useful because it's another tab, it's another window, and it doesn't really solve the problem of switching between windows and tabs and different AI agents. So for example, inside here, we can only operate Hermes directly. Whereas, for example, if we go inside an agent operating system, we can manage all our agents in one place. We've got Claude, we've got OpenClaw, we've got Hermes all next to each other, all running together as a team. That's what we want. This is one of the reasons that tools, for example, like Paperclip have become so popular, because it's a team of agents, right? And I think that really is the future. I think last year was the year of AI agents. This year has been heavily focused on Hermes and OpenClaw. But really, if you look at the full power and how to unlock the full power of these AI agents, you want them working together as a team. And that's what an agent operating system looks like. Now, the other thing that I would say here is if you actually look at the desktop app, it's very difficult to customize. So you can change some of your settings. You can change the theme. You can change the models. That's all great. You can change the appearance here, which is perfect. But one of the biggest issues is that when you're using this, you can't really make any big changes. And what I mean, for example, is if we go back into the agent operating system, this looks and feels exactly how I want it to look and feel because I control how it looks. And that's really a huge difference. It's going to help you a lot. It's going to make managing your AI agents more fun because when you open up, it's fun to use. Whereas if you look at the UI of Hermes Desktop, it feels a little bit retro. And I think that fits with their brand. Hermes Agent has that kind of retro vibe. But at the same time, for me, if I'm using something for a few hours a day, I want it to look and feel exactly how I want it. And that's why I'd recommend using an agent operating system instead. And the other thing I would say here is if there's something new that comes out in a different tool, obviously you can't just plug it into Hermes Desktop, right? You can't just control it and change it and mold it the way that you want. You can't customize it in that way. Whereas, for example, let's say AntCLI just dropped this morning, which it did from Claude. That was literally released 5 hours ago, and we can already plug it into an agent operating system. So I've already set it up right here. We can manage all our agents. We've got the files and everything like that. We can switch between different tools, and it's already connected. And so what I'm saying here is, number one, you can move faster. Number two, you can customize it more. And number three, if something new comes out, so let's just plug that in. The same, for example, with Hermes Agent. If you look at the way that you manage media inside Hermes Desktop, let's say, for example, whether that's images or videos or that sort of thing, you could potentially see it inside the images section here. But you see how there's no videos tab, and also you can't really preview stuff inside the section here. So it's not that useful. Whereas, for example, if we go inside the studio, we can switch between images and video and voice. So I would say if you want something super basic and you just want almost a little app siloed away for your Hermes agent, then maybe you'd use a desktop. But I think if you want something that's really powerful, really useful, helps you automate a lot of stuff, and also helps you manage and organize and orchestrate agents in a much more efficient and fun way, then you would use something like an agent operating system, right? For example, if I just want to create an image and preview it, I can just do that right here. So I can plug that in, hit generate, boom. That's going to generate in a few seconds. Way faster than, for example, if I want to generate an image here, let's say create an image of a cat, for example, inside Hermes directly. And you can see this, thinking about it, but in that space, we've already generated the image that we just prompted inside the agent operating system. Whereas if you go inside the Hermes desktop, we actually, it hasn't picked up that we can use image generation with Hermes, which we obviously have already configured because we just did it over here, right? So big difference right there. And also, it's not synced quite right. I'll show you another example. So again, we have that image generation and that video generation model plugged into Hermes Agent inside our agent operating system. But when I actually installed the desktop app, for example, if we want to have a voice chat, it doesn't seem to work. So if we click on start voice chat here, it doesn't seem to work here. And it says that access is denied, but it doesn't give you an option to actually set up, or it doesn't tell you how to fix that. Right? Whereas, for example, if you go inside the agent operating system that you've built, you can click on talk here and just have a conversation in real time. Hey, how's your day going?
Pretty smooth so far. Thanks for asking. How about yours?
So you see how everything's just synced and linked together, and it's easier to organize and customize. So some big differences right there. Other things that I would say is, like, if you've got some custom workflows, like for me, for example, I like having a tab inside my agent operating system where I can quickly go and do some SEO, right? And I can deploy stuff to my websites, like you can see right here. When we do that inside the agent operating system, the tab's right there, right? No book limp. We've got a tab right there for generating podcasts or videos or infographics. We've got the video agent where we can plug in my AI avatar, we can create videos, and we've got the workspace ready to go. Whereas, for example, if you go inside Hermes Desktop, again, you can't really customize it in that way. However, what I will say, fair play to Hermes, is like they're moving in the right direction. They're creating some cool stuff. I think as well that in the future, this app is only going to get better. So this is like day one of the app. Imagine what it's going to be like after month 1 or month 2 or month 3. I'm excited to see that. And also, if you look at the trajectory and the growth of Hermes this year, like they've already overtaken OpenClaw in terms of their popularity, which is amazing. And also, they only launched in February. I think they're still on like V0.15, right? Whereas imagine what it's going to be like at version 1 of, or Hermes Agent version 2. I'm excited for that. It's going to be awesome. So the final thing that I would say is one of the best things about Hermes is that you can have agent teams. You can have multiple profiles, multiple different agents working together. There doesn't seem to be like an obvious way to use that inside the Hermes desktop app, right? So I can't really organize the Kanban board of my AI agents working together. And I'm sure they'll build that in. Whereas, for example, you can see here, look how beautiful this Hermes Kanban board works. We can just plug in a mission here. We can switch between our different profiles for Hermes.
and we can launch a team of sub-agents and agents working together to get whatever tasks we have done. And we can also see the history of what we've done over here as well. So again, I think if you want freedom, if you want customization, if you want multiple AI agents, and if you want teams of Hermes profiles working together, as well as custom workflows and new updates like daily, you would go with an agent operating system. Whereas, for example, if you just wanted, it feels like just ChatGPT, but for Hermes, then I would go inside Hermes directly here. But I don't see myself using it day to day, honestly. So thanks so much for watching. That is Hermes desktop versus the agent operating system, which one to use, which one to build, which one to go with. Again, you know, the old way, you've got one agent in the desktop app, it's smart and it's open source, but it's just one agent. You still drive it by typing. You have to manage the setup. Again, and when I say manage the setup, for example, like you still have to plug in the voice, the image generation, you have to make sure it's synced properly. It doesn't seem to do that. Whereas, for example, the new way I would say is the agent operating system method, where you've got multiple different agents, one screen, one mission control dashboard. You got Hermes and all your other AI agents working together. You can build in your custom workflows. You've got a voice agent that actually works, and live workspaces where you can actually build stuff as well. And if you look at the difference here, it's like Hermes, it lives in the desktop app, whereas the agent operating system will live in a dashboard. With Hermes desktop, it seems like you only really got one agent inside each chat, whereas with agent operating system, you've got like as many as you want inside one. You can have your custom workflows. You can see everything at once with an agent operating system. You can't do that with Hermes. And then beginner friendly, Hermes is beginner friendly inside the desktop app, but one of the biggest issues is that you still need to sync everything yourself, right? I would expect that it would get automatically synced because you're using Hermes official desktop app with the Hermes setup you have locally, but it didn't seem to, as you saw with the voice and the image generation test. So that's basically it. And if you want my full setup for the agent operating system, we've got it inside the AI Profit Boarding. This is my community for AI automation, where you can learn, you can ask questions, you can connect with 3,300 business owners, automating their business with AI. If you want my full agent operating system, you can get that inside the community section here. So inside the classroom, we have a full setup video tutorial. We show you when we last updated the operating system. You can get the zip file down here as well for the new version. And then we add new daily tutorials based on what comes out as well. So we show you all the cool stuff, as you can see right here. We have step-by-step roadmaps, 30-day plans, 100 prompts for each as well. So you can get the most out of all this stuff. And inside the classroom, you get all of my new daily trainings. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls, ask questions, get help and support, meet other cool people who are doing stuff like this with you. Inside the community, you can ask questions too. You can connect with me personally, and it's all inside the AI Profit Boarding. So see you inside there. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Today, I want to show you the exact system I use to rank #1 on Google multiple times for the same keyword with Hermes Agent OS. And not just on Google, the same content ranks on Google AI Mode, ChatGPT and Perplexity all at the same time. One keyword, one prompt, 5 unique articles deployed automatically to your websites. And the best part is Hermes Agent can do all of it for you. In this video, I'm going to show you the full system step by step. So by the end, you'll have a full SEO machine that can create content that actually ranks across every major platform automated. There's one thing I have to show you inside the system too that most people have no idea exists, and I'll get to that later, but stick with me to the end because this changes everything. Let's get into it. Today I want to show you some of the most powerful systems that I've built for ranking #1 for your target keywords inside Google. So you can see us ranking for this keyword right here multiple times. And this is also across multiple different platforms like you can see right here. Also, if we scroll down the page, you can see another website of mine that's ranking for the same keyword, which is perfect. And then also, if we go over here to AI mode, you can see that we are ranking as the most recommended platform here as well. Okay? You can also see us ranking inside here. So you can rank multiple times inside Google, inside Google AI mode, inside ChatGPT, inside Perplexity, using this same process. You can also see inside ChatGPT for this keyword, also ranking here, and it actually pulls us with our website inside the search results too. So the great thing about this is you can create content that ranks multiple times across multiple different platforms, and you can do it using Hermes Agent OS. So let me talk you through how the system works. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find some good keywords to rank for. How do we do that? The way that I like to do this is I will use my memory system, which is Obsidian, and that pulls in all the stuff that I've worked on recently, all the projects I have, and it will give me relevant recommendations based on that. So as an example of this, I said based on my Obsidian Vault, what keywords would be good for AI SEO for the AI profit boarding. And then you can see it says recommended AI SEO keywords. And then it gives me some core ones, some high intent keywords as well. We've got value stack related keywords, tech and workflow keywords, and also growth and keywords, right? So many different keywords from many different angles. But the main point here is I don't even have to explain my context and what I'm trying to do or what my goal is. Hermes is already locked in, already knows exactly what it wants me to do and what I'm currently focused on as a project. How does it know that? Because of this system right here, the memory system. It's an infinite context engine. This is a powerful system where it knows, okay, this is the AI profit boarding, this is everything he's working on. These are all his notes. We actually click on that. You can see here, it's got this information about me. And this is plugged not just into Hermes, but into all my AI agents, right? If I go into, for example, Claude knows the same thing and how to work on that. So we've got the keywords, perfect. Now what we need to do is plug that keyword into our system along with a case study. So as an example of that, we come back to those keywords we found before, like this one, for example, we can go back into the target keyword section here, and we can add some new information as a case study to plug into this system. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to make sure this content is unique, personalized to me, optimized to convert, and also has something new and interesting to say. We don't want to just go with generic ChatGPT fluff. So let's say, for example, I've got this information here. I can plug that into our case study section. If you want to add anything inside there as well, you can, like this. So we can copy that. Then we're going to go back into here and just add that too, right? So we've now got interesting things to embed inside there as well as the full case study to add. Perfect. We've also got the keyword that's fully optimized to me, and it's already come up with the relevant URL. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on generate 5 articles. And what this will actually do is generate 5 articles, as you can imagine, across 5 different websites, all related to this topic. Why do we want to do that? Because we want, number one, multiple pieces of content with unique angles. Number 2, it makes it easier to rank. And number 3, like I was saying before, you want to rank across multiple different platforms, of course, right? So this is what we're doing. Then once it's completed, so you can see it's being worked on right now. You can see the status, so it's running. Once it's completed, then we will see the actual content itself on the website. And it's neatly formatted. It's got internal links, external links, relevant blogs on the same topic on my other websites, which you can plug in. And what's interesting about this as well is like the whole system uses an API for indexing the content faster, which means that Google actually makes sure it shows it faster to people, right? So we've actually used something called Indexceptional, which is a tool for getting our content indexed. And that API plugs into this system to get the content indexed faster. And so we literally go from keyword, which is, takes one click, one prompt, to 5 articles plugged in and automatically deployed to our websites. The other great thing about this as well is you have everything in one place. So if you haven't built out a system like this already, make sure you do. If you want mine, it's inside the AI profit boarding. But either way, it's a super powerful system. Now, some people are going to say, this sounds technical. I don't know how to use AI. Like I've mentioned, all you need to do is just give one document to your AI agents about you, who you are, what your goals are. Then you can give Hermes a keyword and relevant case studies to go and create content with. And from there, it's automatically deployed and indexed to our website. So you can see 1 of 5 articles has been written. Once all 5 have been written, they'll be deployed to our website. So you don't need to be technical. If you can drop a keyword in a box, you can do this. Other people say, well, AI content doesn't rank, but you can see the trajectory of this website. Bad content doesn't rank. Good content will rank. And that's what we're trying to do here by having a really good system. The other cool thing about this is Hermes Agent improves every time you use it. So it gets better and better at quality controlling its content, so you get the best content possible. And that's one of the best things about this system, is that because Hermes Agent has a built-in self-improving loop, it only gets better the more you use it, which means better quality control, better content, better writing, etc. Better SEO optimization. So you don't need to be technical. This does work for websites, as you can see. And also some people say, well, in 2026, are people still searching? So actually, what Google revealed last week at their Google I/O event is that more people are searching more than ever because it's easier to use AI. AI gives better answers than normal search engines. And also you can go more in depth on the questions you have because it can create answers on the spot versus normal search engines. So that's the biggest difference. And that's why SEO is becoming so important right now. And also more and more people are going to be searching via search engines using AI than ever before, because that's the way the trend is going. That's the way technology is going. So that's basically the system that I'm using right now. If you want a free one-to-one SEO strategy session where we can look at your website, show you how to rank, you'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, we'll answer any questions that you have one-to-one, you'll learn the best link building strategies for your website, plus how to outrank your competitors with link building. Feel free to book in a call at goldie.agency, link in the comments and description. And if you want to get my full agent operating system, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. You can get a video tutorial on how to set up. You can see the last update right here. And you can also get a zip file to install it quickly as well. Plus, we add new daily updates and tutorials, so you never fall behind. You always get the new stuff that helps you. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support whenever you want. You also get 4 weekly coaching calls. We have a full section on AI SEO and how to use it to rank your website. And that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments and description, or just go to the aiprofitboardroom.com to get access. Thanks for watching. Hermes Agent is now one of the most powerful free tools on the planet. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make it work like a full AI team inside an operating system, agents building, reviewing, and automating work automatically 24/7. I'll show you how to run Claude and ChatGPT inside this operating system for free. I'll show you how to deploy Hermes Agent to VPS in one click, and I'll show you a ready-made setup that you can get right now and have it running in minutes. There's one thing I'll actually show you later in this video that most people spend weeks trying to figure out, and it changes everything about how to get your AI agents working and building together. Don't skip to the end. You need the full picture to make this work. Let's get into it. So one question we actually got was from Jonathan Richard, was basically, I have an OpenClaw and VPS. How do I do the VPS install for Hermes step by step? So if you've never used Hostinger before, they actually have a setup for this already. And what you can do is you can deploy Hermes Agent in like a one-click install. And you can see the package here and how it works. So you can go to Hostinger, they have Hermes Agent ready to go, and it's a one-click install. So for example, if we wanted to install it like so, obviously you've got different packages for whichever setup you prefer. You can click on choose a plan and then get set up from there. So that's like a super easy way to set up. It even has like a daily auto backup section here as well. And you can choose the location, how long you want to sign up for, and everything else. So that's how you can deploy it in one click. Another question we got from Manish was, is there like an agent operating system package that you can just install and put together and it's ready made and ready to go? So we actually have that for OpenClaw, for Hermes, for Gemini, and everything else, all packaged together, all with my existing setup. So for example, we even have like a video agent here that's linked to Hyperframes and Hermes Agent. So if you don't want to create your own, you can get the agent operating system over here. The zip file is there, and we've got a video tutorial on how to set that up too. So you can see, for example, Brad got his agent operating system set up pretty quickly using a similar process. Same for Lawrence and Dr. John Meza. So that's the easiest way I know to set up. The next question we have is from Egbert, right? So he was asking, after he installed the Agent OS, like how to dispatch different workflows across each one, right? So for example, Agent A builds a module, Agent B reviews it. How do you orchestrate that all together? So here's the way that I do it. I actually build that into a skill so it works as a workflow. So for example, if you look at this SEO content pipeline, it's multiple different steps put together in one workflow, right? So for example, we have to get the keywords. Then we have to add case studies. After that, everything has to be optimized. And there's 12 steps inside this process. Quite a long batched workflow, to the point where we even have to index everything too and deploy it to our websites. So the way that I would recommend you doing this, if you want different agents to interact with each other, is just have like a skill like that, right? In fact, you don't even need multiple agents. You can just have one agent that runs through a skill for that workflow. Now, if you wanted, for example, Hermes to set that up, or if you wanted, for example, Claude set up, you can explain exactly what you want, like I did here, and say, right, for example, I want agent A to do this, and I want agent B to edit it, and then I want agent C to add more research, etc. And it'll build that into the workflow. And you just say, add that inside my agent operating system so that everything works as one skill, and save the skill. And so when you do that, everything works together as a beautiful workflow where you can have 12 or 15 different steps all linked together. But the beautiful thing is, if I wanted to run this workflow with 12 different steps, I can just click a couple of buttons and then we're good to go, right? The agent handles the rest. So you want to stop orchestrating by hand, express a pipeline as one skill file, and then Hermes or Claude or whatever you use can run the whole skill file as multiple different steps in one workflow. Now, I've got another question here from Brian, which is basically like, how do you get Hermes to take an idea or a workflow or something it's learned and then implement it? right? So the way that I do this is I would put it into a markdown file inside my Obsidian vault. So for example, let's say we've got this information on ChatGPT and SEO. Once it's in a markdown file like this, Hermes can read the Obsidian vault, and from there, it can turn it into a workflow, right? So I can say, okay, based on this file inside my Obsidian workflow, set up the automation or use this to come up with ideas. But the first thing you need to do is make sure that you put the idea or the case study or the information about it into a markdown file, because that will train Hermes on exactly how to use it. And once Hermes has the knowledge, you can go off and start setting everything up for you. Now, we've got another question from Yazim, which is like, which agents you use and when? How do you decide when to use Claude or Hermes or NA10 or Codex or Manus, right? And I would say they all actually work. It comes down to your personal preference. So the way that I try and do everything is keep it very, very simple. You don't need to, for example, even use NA10 anymore, right? Because Claude and Hermes can do everything that you do inside NA10, but they can do it no code. And then when it comes to deciding which of these to use, personally for me, if I had to pick between all these, I would just go with Claude and just stick with that one, right? It's better to master one tool than it is to try and master all of these different things at once, right? And then also that way, okay, if I'm only going to use Claude, it helps you focus and it helps you become a master on that thing, and it helps you stop feeling like you have shiny object syndrome. So this way, you save time, you move faster, and you don't get distracted. Bear in mind, like, for example, if you look at Manus, Manus is just like an easier way to use Claude Code that's hosted in the cloud. NA10 is like a more technical version of Claude Code, and then Codex is basically like Claude Code, but it's just a different model that you're using inside it. Right? And so for me personally, I would just stick with this. Now, another question we got here is, can you run, for example, Claude or ChatGPT, etc., with OAuth instead of using APIs for each one? And this is a great question. So for example, if you look at my agent operating system here, Claude is plugged in with OAuth, right? We're just talking to the CLI. The same with Anti-Gravity, the same with Gemini, the same with Codex. And so those 4 different systems you can all use inside your agent operating system, and you don't need to plug in a separate API, right? Now, for example, if you wanted to use OpenClaw, you can also use OAuth with ChatGPT. Hermes allows you to run OAuth with ChatGPT or Grok. And then for free Claude Code, you don't even need to pay for an API. You can use a free API like OAuth on OpenRouter, and that way, everything requires less resources. You don't need to manage loads of different APIs. You don't need to manage all the API tokens, and you can just use OAuth or free APIs, right? Makes everything simpler. So that's the way I would handle that. Now we've got another question from Rad, which is, based on all these AI agents that are out there, what would clients be interested in, especially like local clients? This is a great question. So for me personally, I actually have a SEO agency, Goldie Agency, and a lot of our clients are interested in AI SEO, right? So for example, creating content, creating really good quality content with context, but also making sure that they do it in an efficient way with AI. And so AI SEO is something that clients are interested in. Also, another option is AI avatar videos, right? So for example, we have a setup over here for AI avatar videos. And the cool thing about this is like clients want more leads. How do they get more leads? Well, content marketing is great for that. How can AI help with that? Well, this is a whole system that helps clients get more leads because they have better content marketing, which means they reach more people. So that's a really powerful system. And then also, as well as this, and these 2 systems here, which are ready to go, the other option that you have is setting up Hermes or, for example, Claude custom for people who know the power of it, but don't have the time to set up, right? So for example, if you look at Hermes, if you can set this up for someone and then link it to their website so it can create content, or for example, you set up a daily schedule where it looks at all of their recent work and then helps them figure out new automations for that on a daily schedule, that's something that business owners would value, but they don't know how to do it and they don't have the time to learn it and do it themselves, right? And so if you can go off and set them up for them, that's really powerful too. The same thing for Twitter, right? So for example, if you can reach more people on Twitter and help them reach more people, for example, like yesterday, we reached 246,000 people in one day. Well, using a system like this, you can see clients would be interested in that because again, it generates leads. It helps them reach more customers. It saves them time. Right? And so all of these different systems are really valuable and the systems that are ready to go. The final thing that I was going to say is a lot of clients actually need like a decent landing page or a decent website. Again, they don't have the time to set up something like this, but you can easily automate it with AI. And so that's how you can help them, right? So for example, we've got this system right here, which helps you automate landing pages and websites based on what's already worked for us. Now, Ken was asking about agent orchestration. How can you orchestrate your agents? So the system that I use when it comes to doing this is the goal section inside the Kanban of Hermes, right? So Kanban with Hermes is a Kanban board. And basically, you can set up a task here, drop it in, and what Hermes does is it orchestrates that and assigns tasks to multiple different profiles of your agents. And so it's a very simple way to see what's happening, get one agent to look at a task, break it down into subtasks, and then once it's completed, it's going to move to the done section, right? So for example, if we look at this task where we said create a keyword research plan for my AI automation blog, it mapped out 4 different subtasks inside the main task and then assigned those tasks to our agents, to our sub-agents. And then what we can see here is the workspace with the files completed, and we can manage and orchestrate everything in one place. Now, I actually don't think it's necessary for you to orchestrate, for example, having Gemini, Claude, and Hermes working together all in one single task. You can just have Hermes with multiple profiles, which is what we've got here, to orchestrate and organize your team. And that way, you keep things simple. It's easy for you to organize, and it's also very easy for you to come back and see what happened because you've got the workspace here with all the tasks and all the deliverables inside each task. So I've answered all of the questions from today. Lots of cool questions coming in there. If you want me to answer yours with a video tutorial dedicated, just ask a question inside the AI Profit Boredom community and I'll get it answered for you. The reason that I do this is because I know if you have this question, other people will, and that way we can help more people at the same time on the typical sort of questions that people have when it comes to building out with Hermes Agent. So you can see, for example, Lawrence, he asked a question about Obsidian and Notion recently. Within 6 hours, we'd already created a video tutorial for him, breaking down exactly how to implement it. So that's the sort of stuff we do inside the AI Profit Boredom. You also get access to my agent operating system with a zip file to get this installed. And this is updated daily, so you get the new latest stuff that I've built in. You get 4 weekly coaching calls where you jump on a call, ask questions, get help and support in real time. You can meet people in your local city who are using AI automations just like you, and you can get access to all of my best trainings on this stuff. So feel free to get that link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitBoredom.com. Thanks for watching. Today, I'm going to show you how to automate anything with Hermes Agent OS. And this is the most powerful AI agent in the world right now, and this framework shows you exactly how to use it. So you can automate anything, your work, your life, your side projects, whatever is eating up your time right now, this can handle it. And by the end of this video, you're going to have it set up and running for you, saving you hours every single week and giving you your time back. I want to do a real live agent build right now with Hermes Agent in front of you today. You're going to get a full automation built from scratch so you can copy it and use it on anything that you want. And stick with me because later in this video I'm going to show you the one thing that makes a Hermes Agent OS so powerful that once you see it, you'll never go back to doing things manually again. It's the reason some people have AI handling everything for them right now whilst everyone else is still doing it all manually. Let's get into it. All right, so today we're going to be setting up a custom automation for an AI Profit Boredom member. And Julian Boss has said, real world example, with all the various AI tools out there, could you create a tutorial on how to build something super useful? For example, like an AI powered personal travel agent, right? So here's a real world use case. He's planning a trip to Manila, travel windows between these dates, wants to stay for exactly 9 days at this place. What's the most practical way to build a travel agent, right? So here's how you can do it. So if we wanted to use Hermes Agent to help us build this, we can open up the terminal window here and we're just going to run this with Hermes Agent. By the way, I do this for members every day inside the AI Profit Boredom if you want me to do it for you too. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to say, okay, help me automate this, right? And we'll plug that in and then we'll get Hermes Agent to help us set this up and to start automating this workflow, right? Now, the first place I will start with this process is I'm using the Hermes Agent OS system, right? Which is my framework for building an AI-powered agent or process that runs itself, right? And this is the framework behind every automation that I build, every agent that I deploy, every real-world use case that I show on this channel, right? And so the first thing you want to do is really look at, okay, before you build anything, find the task that's using up all your time, right? It could be research, could be outreach, whatever you're spending most of your time on, right? You want to find it, name it, and own it, right? Then you're going to engineer the agent. So you're going to build a Hermes agent with one specific job, right? Like you can see right here. So you can give it a goal. For example, you're a travel agent specialist. You can give it a role, and then the goal would be like find the cheapest flight, right? You can give it the tools, and now it knows exactly what to do, right? So you can see it's beginning to build out that project structure over here. If you have any questions as we go along, by the way, feel free to ask. So you can see it's beginning to build this. We could also do this with Claude as well. Claude is another way to set that up. So we can go inside Claude here and do the same sort of thing. So whatever you prefer, you can roll with it. We can run both tasks inside Claude and Hermes at the same time, just see what happens. And then from here, you want to run it in the real world, right? So you deploy the agent on a real task, which is what we're doing over here. You run it, you watch what happens, and then you catch the gaps, right? So with these sort of things, it's not going to be perfect first time you use it. Just bear in mind with that, but you're going to catch the gaps when you test it out. So done is always better than perfect. And a running agent that's 80% right beats a perfect one still being designed, right? So that's what we're doing with the Hermes Agent OS system that we've got here. And we're going to set up as a skill inside Hermes, which means that anytime we use Hermes, whether that's on Telegram or anything like that, a skill inside Hermes and then call upon it. Now, whilst we're waiting for this to be done, the other thing to note here is you can multiply this with agent stacks, right? So one agent is good, but you could have a team of agents that's unstoppable and you can connect them together, right? Agent one could be, for example, like a SEO research agent. Then you could have a separate Hermes agent profile for creating content. You could have another one for creating avatar videos, but you can have multiple of them, right? You can see how Hermes is now creating the skill wrapper for this AI travel agent planner. Claude is doing the same thing, but it's approaching it in a separate way, right? So you can see it's actually building the files in parallel, setting all of this up, as you can see. And then we can say, you can see here it's actually built the back end of it, as you can see right here, right? We do need to get some APIs for this, but we can do that in a second. And then you can actually set up like a simple mini app on a website where we can use this, right? Now, for travel related stuff, we just need to get an API key. We can get Amadeus API, so let's go off and do that. And now you can see, for example, we've got this agent ready to go, right? So we've set this up. It's right. Here's the trip monitor. Here's the details. Then we can put the details in here and just start using that, right? Obviously, you need to plug in your API key from Amadeus to get this working. But that's essentially how you can get an app running for whatever you want, right? And you can see it's hosted locally here, so no one else has access to it. And that is the setup with the trip monitor details. And so you can build and automate anything that you want with Hermes Agent, especially using this operating system that we've talked about. And it's pretty simple. And then the final step is just expand to new cases, right? Once the workflow is running, what else could you automate? What else could an agent handle? What else could you offer clients, or what niches would be interested in this, right? You can expand, you can duplicate, and you can grow from there, right? And then you just systemize it, right? The main thing here as well is as you go off and you start building SOPs and that sort of thing, you want to systemize it so that you can come back to these SOPs whenever you want to. That's actually one of the reasons that I built out the AI profit boarding, is because everything is organized and I can just, if I need like the SOP, for example, for Hermes and computer use, I can just type that in here and then get access to computer use agents inside here. Or if I'm like, I need to get the SOP for Open Web UI, here it is, boom. I can just get access and type it in at the search bar. So whatever you want to build and learn, you can do it using this process, but just make sure you organize it into SOPs as well, right? And the goal isn't just to automate one task. The goal is to build like an entire operating system for everything that runs on AI and automates in the background. That is the Hermes Agent OS, right? And everything is just built on top of it. Now, some people say, I need to learn how to code to build AI agents. As you saw today, it was pretty easy to set up, super fast, right? And Hermes Agent just lets you build powerful automations in plain English. So you type what the agent wants to do, what you want the agent to do, it figures out how to do it. No coding required, no Python, just clear instructions, right? Also, some people say AI agents are only useful for tech companies and developers. Some of the biggest wins right now are happening in the most ordinary stuff. I've just shown you how to automate a travel agent. It could be real estate, it could be e-com, could be freelancing, etc., marketing agencies. Other people say it's too complicated to set up, right? The first working agent, as you've seen today, could be running in 30 minutes or under 30 minutes. So it's not days, it's not weeks, it's 30 minutes and a good API. That's literally it. So if you want to get the full framework of how to use this, 100 prompts and a 30-day roadmap for implementing this into your business, feel free to check this full guide out. I'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom classroom over here in the daily updates section. It's called the Hermes Agent OS system. And that's basically how you can automate anything with a Hermes agent. Pretty amazing. So I've created that custom automation for Julian. If you want me to do stuff like this for you as well, then I do it for free for members inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is just like a little bonus I give members to help them. And hopefully that helps you understand how you can automate anything with Hermes and the Agentic OS, right? This is my AI automation community that helps you save time, grow and learn and scale with AI agents and AI automation. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support. It's a really active community with loads of cool people, lots of cool posts, very interesting stuff that people are working on as well. You can go inside the calendar here and jump on 4 weekly coaching calls, share your screen, ask questions about your setup, etc. Inside the classroom, you get access to all my trainings, all my best courses, etc. And we have a new daily updates here if you like advanced tutorials like you've seen today. Inside the map, you can connect with members in your local city and area so that you can meet other cool people doing similar things to you. And that's all inside here. Link in the comments description or go to the AI-Profit Let's see what questions we got here. Brian says, yes, I'm obsessed with AI. I don't know if I'm learning this much to you. Thank you, though. Trying to make a dream come true. Thanks for the tips. Happy to help. Christopher says, hey, that's my floor waiting to ship until perfect. Yeah, as you've seen today, like that setup will not be perfect. Obviously, you need to connect the APIs as well, but you can see that we can quickly build something, create like a first prototype, and then just test and improve it from there. Emir says, what models are you typically using when creating these systems, apps, and agents? So Hermes Agent is the one that I use for this. And then we use that with the free API step 3.5 Flash. And if ever in doubt, ask AI. There you go. Is this is the real Julian Goldie? Yes. I'm currently using Open Router with free models, then letting it switch to auto on its own. Is that one way to build stuff like this with a flexible model? Absolutely. Yeah, you can switch between APIs like you've seen today. So today we have a lot of questions about the agent operating system for Hermes that we've built out. And this is basically like a mission control where you can control all of your AI agents in one place. So we've got like Codex, Anti-Gravity, we've got Claude Code over here, we have Hermes, OpenClaw, Claude, etc. We have all of our tools built in. It's a really powerful system, but we get a lot of questions about this, which is what I'm going to answer today, right? And so these are all the questions we've had recently inside the AI Profit Boardroom, and I'm just going to work through them and also help you as much as we possibly can on this. So let's talk about this and have a look where we're up to. For example, we got one question here from Scott who says, Hermes on my personal machine, how to use it. And he says, new to the space, look forward to making connections. Silly question, how can I install Hermes on my personal machine, or do I need a separate machine, etc.? So number one, welcome, Scott. But the short answer is yes, you can run Hermes on your personal machine. Most of us do, right? The use a separate machine comes from people who get nervous early about touching their agents and the main file system, which is fair. But the way Hermes is built is like you can scope it to a project folder and that's all it sees. So it's not like running rampant across all your files, right? And you can have, for example, OpenClaw sandboxed as well. So that's a totally separate flow. But yeah, you don't want to quarantine the tool, just quarantine the folder, right? And start small. You can have one project, work inside it, and expand as you trust it, essentially. Let's have a look at the next question here. So Raza is saying, hey guys, I'm trying to find the full setup for the skill and setup guide for SEO, essentially. And he said the whole agentic operating system you built has grown to a beast level. I'm trying to build the base for it. So basically, the agent operating system is really improved. And the one that we created 7 days ago isn't nearly as powerful as where it is right now, right? Now, for the SEO content pipeline specifically, the full read along is over here. And for the setup, I would just give yourself a bit of time, right? Now, if you're focused specifically on AI SEO with Agentic OS, we actually have a full zip file for that over here, right, in this section. So if you want to get that, I'll link to it directly over here for you. Next up, we have a question from Andreas, which is, where's the productivity board from Trello, right? And so if you want to get access to that, let me find it for you. So this is what it looks like. It's basically my productivity system that I use. And let me just test it out here. I'm just going to check this out. And you can get that right here. All right, so you can get the Trello productivity board if you want that too. Let's see what else we got here on the questions. Oh, this is interesting. So how do you build an agent operating system in the cloud, right? So if you have an agent operating system and it's running locally, how do you share it in the cloud and that sort of thing, right? So you can use like a VPS. You could also use a container, and you could also use remote access, right? So you could actually use like Cloudflare with Tailscale, and that lets you use mission control in the cloud. But just be careful with this stuff as well, because you don't want to, you want to make sure it's fully secure and no one else can access it. So when you set this up, it's awesome for accessing remotely. Just be careful that you don't share it anywhere you wouldn't, all right? And don't give it access to anything that you wouldn't feel comfortable giving access to. Let's see what else we got here. This is pretty cool. So could you build a backlink builder with Hermes, right? So if you're using Hermes Agent, how can it build backlinks for SEO? And if you're not sure what backlinks are, basically they're clickable links from other websites to yours. The more you relevant, authoritative backlinks you get, the more likely you are to rank on Google and everywhere else. So there's 3 ways you can do this, right? And you can pick whatever helps you the most, right? So number 1, you could do outreach automation. So Hermes can actually draft personalized emails from a list of prospects. You approve, you send, and the personalization is really what you want there. Then you've also got guest post pipelines. So Hermes could actually find blogs in your niche, contact editors, draft angled pitches, and that's probably more likely to be accepted, right? And then the final step is like you can actually, for example, have Hermes monitor opportunities on Harrow, draft responses in your voice, and then you reach out to more people daily, right? And then of course, like you don't want to focus on anything that's outside of those 3 things, right? We got another question here, which is how can you generate content for ecom websites using agent operating systems, right? And so this is a really good example of how you can use the agent operating system, but I would use agent operating systems, not NA10, right? So Adam said, how do I generate content? Should I use NA10, etc.? And so the flow that I would do is like you plug a CSV of titles and the products you have into agent operating system, whether that's Hermes or Claude. The agent operating system can then read each role. You can generate SEO optimized titles and descriptions for each product. And then you can upload that to Netlify or just get a CSV out and upload that, right? And then you could generate this for all your products. So that's basically what I'd recommend for doing this. You could actually use I think there's a Shopify CLI as well. So you could connect your agent to Shopify if you want to upload directly. Next question here, best model for Hermes. Would it be ChatGPT? Would it be Grok, Gemini, Anthropic? So shout out to Tony for asking this question. So honest answer is here, like it does change every few weeks, but here's what I'd recommend. So right now, my current favorite is Grok for agentic tasks. So it's got the best speed to quality ratio of everything that I've checked out, right? So for example, here we've got Hermes plugged into Grok. And then if we go over to the studio, we can generate videos, text to speech, images, and it's pretty fast as well. And also it can search Twitter, right? Claude is pretty powerful, but it's expensive as an API. ChatGPT is awesome because you can use the OAuth. So if you've already got a subscription, and then if you want free, you could go with OAuth for an open router, right? And that's pretty easy to set up as well. And then Tony was asking, should you use OAuth for API? So you can use OAuth on ChatGPT and Grok. Those are the ones that you want to focus on. But you can't use Claude on OAuth with agents, just so you know. Next up, we got a question from Asif, who says, I'm a newbie in the community, just had a question about connecting Hermes to Claude, right? Can you do that with OAuth, etc.? So you actually can't if you're using OAuth with Claude. So Claude was actually stopped with using OAuth a few weeks ago. So this has changed, but you can use Grok OAuth with Hermes, and you can also use ChatGPT OAuth with Hermes. So either of those would work, and you can log in directly into Hermes and use those instead. By the way, if you want me to answer your questions just like this with video tutorial and also a step-by-step breakdown of each one, then you can join the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. And I answer these questions every single day, like you can see right here, just to help people as much as I possibly can. And also, I know if these people have questions like this, then probably everyone watching has these questions too. So Femi says, the new anti-gravity is good. Do we still need Hermes? And I love this question, right? Anti-gravity is great. It's highly agentic. It's browser native. It's fast. Google created a really good product there. But here's the framing that I'd offer, right? Hermes is open source, right? So you can pick the model, you pick the host, you pick the way that you use it, etc. And I would say anti-gravity is great for generating, for example, websites and that sort of thing. But Hermes is more agentic, right? So if you look, for example, at anti-gravity, it's better for generating coding projects. Whereas if you have a look at Hermes, it's more for actually doing stuff. So for me personally, I prefer both, but I'll use anti-gravity for coding and building out websites and apps and tools. And then I'll use Hermes Agent for actually just going off and doing tasks. So anti-gravity for coding and building stuff, Hermes more for actually doing daily tasks on a schedule. And also Hermes is open source, which means it's more customizable. We got another win here from Clovis, who said he's using the Obsidian Vault on his agentic operating system. So a lot of people are actually using the agent operating system and then sharing what they've built inside the Profit Boardroom too. For example, like John as well, he built out his own operating system. And you can see here Clovis too. So pretty awesome system. And basically he got it to integrate inside itself. Now, what this means basically is like you get more memory inside your agents and you get better memory. So for example, if you look at all of our agents plugged in here, they can all link to our memory system over here. And so all the knowledge, all the context that we have is linked to our Obsidian Vault. And so if it's linked to our Obsidian Vault, then it can create better outputs for us. It understands us better. It has better context. And that's what the game is really about if you want super smart AI agents. We got another question here from Ryan, who says, Obsidian is a memory layer for AI agents, which is what I was just talking about here. And so you're saying like he's exploring the idea of having a second brain with Obsidian as a memory layer. A few things that he's trying to figure out: what vault structure actually works, how do you give access to your AI agents to Obsidian, any sort of tagging conventions that work well, and how do you stop AI agents from giving the Obsidian Vault like low value content. So these are my answers, right? And basically we have something called the infinite context engine that I use. And that basically gives me the best possible outputs I can get, right? You can see it over here. So this is the infinite context engine. We have a full video tutorial and setup guide on this. But basically, here's the way that I would look at it, right? So in terms of the vault structure, when you start writing into it, you can use either Para or Zet or Kasten. Those are two good options. They're built for humans browsing manually, right? For agent readable, you probably want a flat structure. So one folder per project plus a tags-based discovery layer. And then agents can use tags way better than nested folders, right? So it depends. If you're using it for your agents, then just a flat structure is pretty good. How to expose the vault? So you can actually just have this stored locally, or you can use the MCP server, which is Obsidian MCP. For tagging conventions, you can have basically ones for each part of your project. So if we have a look over here and we look at the tags that we've used, and let's say, for example, we have a look at this system here, right? You can see how we tag these depending on the project. So for example, if something is related to the AI profit boardroom, my agents will tag it as that. And then you can also have a review agent that runs nightly if you need to improve the outputs, right? So it can read new notes, it can flag low signal ones, and that's a good system for monitoring it. It's quite advanced, but if you really want to go in granular detail, you can do that. Let's see what else you got here. So John is asking about like how to basically get an AI as a voice agent to call your leads. Now, obviously, your leads need to opt in if you're going to call them with AI, right? So that's really important. But yeah, this could work. You could use something like VAPI, right? And then the trigger could be a webhook where they get a call within 30 seconds. And it's always going to help if you get in contact with your leads as well, right? And then also you want some time of day rules as well for that. Right. So that's the way that I would look at it. And also, I think if it's good enough, like the lead doesn't really care if it's AI. They just care that someone showed up fast. Next one from Jason, which is about how to use Agent Operating System on Docker as a mobile app, which is a really cool one. So Jason was asking about to go through the setup process and stack agents. I would be careful of just giving it remote access. But if you do want to set this up, you could use Docker or something like that. Cloudflare, Tunnel, and Tailscale might be a better option as well. And then for the mobile app, I think you could do that through Tailscale, actually. That could be a good option. And I think a lot of people are using Hostinger for this. That's what I've seen. Memory and context in larger AI agent systems. So Tony was asking, how are people handling memory systems and that sort of thing? So here's the way that I do. I have a short-term way, so you can have per session context, just lives in the conversation. Then you can have midterm, which is you can have Obsidian, for example. And that's the way that I would look at it. It's like on Obsidian Vault with markdown files, which is easy for AI agents to query and humans to read. Is probably one of the best ways to do this, right? And then also, if you don't want to update it too much, every 10 to 15 turns, your agent can then summarize the conversation, or you can do this daily as well. So that's a good way to do it. And we also have a full setup inside the infinite context engine system, which I'll link to you in a sec. So you can see the infinite context engine here. This is the full setup that we use. Or just one daily summary as well from your AI agents to the memory system could work really well too. Next question. So Augustine was saying agent operating system. A lot of people want to sync this with the Claude app and that sort of thing. So the way that I would probably do that is sync it to my Obsidian Vault with the conversation summaries if you don't want to use the API, right? So if you try and sync like Claude inside the terminal to your agent operating system, it doesn't work so well. But if you want to just use Claude directly inside the agent operating system, you can do that instead, right? So for example, if I go to the agentic mission control here, and I try and speak to Claude, that's not going to sync to my terminal and vice versa, right? But the cool thing about this is that we can just have it summarize to our Obsidian Vault, and then the conversations get logged and synced between them as a context and memory. So that's the way that I would do it. And you don't really want to sync sessions. You want to sync the memory. That's the most important part. I think we've got one more question now. All right. So this is from John Mezzo. He's an absolute legend. And he was saying, how do you transfer ChatGPT and Perplexity knowledge over to Obsidian, right? How do you do that, right? So let's say, for example, you're on ChatGPT and you want to sync all of the knowledge inside ChatGPT over to your agent operating system or to your Obsidian vault, right? How do you do that? So here's the way that I would do it, right? You can actually migrate your old AI history into Obsidian so Hermes can read it all in one day and start from scratch. So the way that you can do that is you can export from ChatGPT directly. If we have a look at that, and you can do this with a prompt as well. So you can actually ask like ChatGPT to just tell it everything you know about you. Or if you go to this section here, you can export your data from ChatGPT and any other tool, right? And so that's where you can do it. And then once it's in Obsidian, Hermes can read that vault locally or via MCP. All right. So we've answered all the questions. There's 15 different questions from the AI Profit Boardroom. This is literally just like the last 24 hours. As you can see right here, like all the questions that we have, I know that everyone has them. It's not just the people who've asked. And so that's why I answer these videos in tutorials like this, just so that I can answer in granular detail everything that we've talked about today and just get you the best information you can on this stuff, right? And so if you want this sort of stuff, you can bring your question, get it answered. And every Q&A is built from questions members posted inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you got one, maybe that's Hermes setup, agent operating systems, Obsidian, SEO pipelines, anything, drop it in the AI Profit Boardroom and we'll cover it in the next session, right? So this is all designed for people inside the community. You can connect with me personally. You can ask questions inside here. You can also jump on weekly coaching calls. You get all of my best systems, including a new version of the agent operating system that we just dropped this morning with all my new updates. You can connect with people inside the map here as well, and everything is right there for you, right? And you've seen all the wins here as well, right? We've got so many cool testimonials and wins from people who've never done this stuff before and have just learned how to do it. So that's what it's about. Link in the comment description or go to the